All right, and we're back here on the Action News 5 digital desk, dealing with some rain today. If you're out and about, I'm sure you may have run into some this morning. I know they were seeing it in Mississippi. Traffic not running too bad. I mean, as normal here around Malfunction Junction, as some people used to call it, but over here at the flyover, 240, I-240, this is usually where it gets congested across this time of morning, or normally this time of morning, right as people are heading in for that morning commute. But a couple of live looks I want to take this morning. Midtown Memphis, doesn't look like it's raining there at this point. Traffic running smooth, maybe a few sprinkles out there just from looking at this camera. Another live look from downtown Memphis, looks like it could be drizzling there as people get out and about this Wednesday morning. We are halfway through the week. I'm glad about it. You know, we were able to enjoy the past couple of days having the nice temperatures, the sunshine. Today and tomorrow you're going to expect some rain throughout the day and throughout the day Thursday. But what's that going to mean for us? How do we need to plan for it? Let's get over to meteorologist Brittany Bryant. She can time out everything, let you know what concern she's watching on the radar.
Good morning. We're tracking this weather system that's pushing through eastern Arkansas and starting to bring some light rain into West Tennessee as well. So as we go through the morning, 9:30 here, going through noon, you'll notice that rain continues to push east. We have heavy rain by lunchtime today in Memphis, the rest of Shelby County going into Brownsville, also in northwest Mississippi starting to see some rain too. So we'll have these on and off light showers probably through around 5 o'clock. After that, we'll start to see some breaks in the rain, especially along and west of the river. A few showers over towards Ashland and Corinth for the drive home at 5, and then we'll be mostly dry through around midnight tonight. After that, that rain starts to move in. You'll get another round of showers and thunderstorms tomorrow. There's only a 1 out of 5 for that severe weather threat, which means severe weather is unlikely. But there could be a quick gust of wind, maybe some small hail with the system as it moves through on Thursday. Let's talk about that Thursday timing. Here's 8 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. Some heavy rain in Tunica, Hernando, eastern Arkansas, might even see a few downpours in West Tennessee, including in Memphis. We'll have rounds of rain, so you'll probably get a break for a few hours in the afternoon, but then more thunderstorms arrive right around 5 o'clock on Thursday. And around that time, we'll have some instability in place, so that's when we could see those gusts of wind or that small hail. Notice those reds and oranges indicating some heavy rain along 55 from Osceola going into Blytheville. Also some downpours in Fayette County and Hardeman County, and that rains on and off through at least 10 o'clock at night on Thursday. Thankfully, weather models starting to push that rain out of here a little bit earlier. So this is 5 a.m. Friday. You'll notice no rain showing up on First Alert Featurecast, although I'm not completely ruling out a little bit of drizzle early in the morning. We honestly do not need any more rain at this point. We've already had almost 3.5 inches of rain for the month of March. It's only March 8th. That puts us 2 inches above normal for the month. And we may add on another inch or two of rain too with this system moving through today and tomorrow. About 1.5 inches of rain in the Memphis area through late Thursday night to early Friday, close to 1 inch in Wynn, and about 1.5 inches also over towards Holly Springs. Some spots may get slightly higher totals if you get a downpour that sets up over your area. And temperatures today not very high because of the clouds and rain and a north breeze. We're at 51 at noon. 54 at 3 o'clock and down to the lower 50s at 7. And the northeast breeze today could be up to around 25 miles per hour this morning and close to 15 to 20 miles per hour through 2 o'clock. After that, winds won't really be an issue anymore. Your First Alert weekend forecast includes temperatures near 60 degrees on Saturday and Sunday. Now, Saturday looks okay. We'll have some sunshine early, temperatures in the upper 50s, but then late Saturday night into early Sunday, we'll probably have some rain that starts to move into the mid-south, and Sunday does look soggy for us. So again, 54 today, 60s Thursday, Friday, we're near 60 degrees over the weekend. But once that Sunday cold front moves through here, temperatures drop down to the 50s on Monday with lows in the 30s that night, then temperatures in the lower 50s Tuesday.
All right, so I was telling you that 56% of Americans are planning to travel for spring break. They want to get away, they want to relax, they want to just enjoy a little bit of a break. I think we all do. I think we could all use one right now. Well, 75% say they plan to travel within the U.S. And if you are one of those majority, there are some things that you can be doing to make sure that you have the perfect experience, some tricks of the trade. And we have Action News 5's Andrew Douglas with all the details on how you can live your best life this spring break.
Whether you're planning escaping by plane, train, boat, or car, planning is key.
If you do not have things set up in advance, you will be sorely disappointed.
Timing matters. Don't book too early or too late. U.S. News and World Report says you should book your domestic flights 2 months before you plan to travel. For international, 6 to 8 months before. And the old rule of thumb that the best deals are on Tuesday no longer applies. Fluctuating fuel costs is what counts now. And if you're traveling by plane, only pack carry-ons.
Last year in 22, if you check your luggage, the chances of seeing it when you got to your destination were probably 50 to 60%.
When booking a hotel, go to Expedia or Kayak to get the lowest price and then call the hotel directly. Many hotels are offering special rate discounts up to 20%.
People can save money by traveling by realizing they don't have to take the top tier. If you're the type of person who gets up at 7 in the morning and doesn't get home till 8 o'clock, you don't need a suite.
And if you're looking to get the most bang for your buck this year, Turkey, Argentina, Japan, United Kingdom, and Thailand top the list for the best currency exchange rate. But remember, it's not all about the money. Sure, save when you can, but don't be afraid to splurge on the important things.
Another great tip, always clear your cookies and search history, or use a different computer before you book. Once you start looking for flights, you are flagged for having shown interest, and that's when prices go up. By clearing your cookies or using a different computer, your search history will no longer cost you more to book a flight. With ways to live your best life, I'm Andrew Douglas, Action News 5.
Good morning. I'm Amanda Hansen here at the Action News 5 Digital Desk, and we're going to talk about a very serious topic that some might call an epidemic here in the United States, and that's obesity. And of course, it can lead to several different types of health risks. And so joining me now to help talk more about this is Dr. Lee Daigle, bariatric physician with Methodist Medical Group Weight Management and Wellness Center. Dr. Daigle, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you?
Glad to have you on. Doing well, except for the rain that we're dealing with today. But all in all, not too bad. Of course, we were talking about obesity. It just continues to be an epidemic here in the U.S. It's a problem that a lot of people struggle with. In fact, I was looking at some numbers, and nearly 40% of our population is considered obese, which I think is pretty alarming, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, very much so. And that number is expected to increase to about 50% by 2030, which is in 7 years, which is even more alarming.
Wow. What could you say? I mean, obviously it's a problem, and you saying that this is going to grow even more. It's expected to grow even more. What is it that you feel is contributing to that here in the U.S. specifically?
It's multifactorial. It's not very simple. Of course, diet and lifestyle activity people know about, those do contribute. But it also involves genetics, medical conditions, mental health, our sleep patterns. There are a lot of things that have changed over the last several decades that have contributed to this. Our food system, access to different types of food and healthy food, they tend to be more expensive. And so there are a lot of things that contribute to where we are numbers-wise and where we are headed.
And obviously that has a lot of health impacts. Can we talk about some of the things that, when you are obese, there are several things that can come of that. I know my dad, he was borderline diabetic, didn't heed the warning of trying to lose some weight, and of course he ended up with diabetes. But there are several other health factors that can come into play when you're dealing with something like this.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you mentioned, there are metabolic consequences as example as diabetes. There are over 200 medical conditions that are either caused by or worsened by obesity, which is staggering. Several different types of cancers, including female cancers like breast cancer. Of course, heart disease we know about, sleep apnea, lung conditions. Obesity, the disease of obesity affects every organ system that you can think of, musculoskeletal, kidney, everything.
And one thing that I think is interesting, there's a lot of shows out there like 1,000 Pound Friends and things like that, where these individuals, they realize they have these health problems. They are like, this is going to kill me if I don't do something. And they go get that surgery, and you immediately see the impact, not only in their health, but their overall self-worth and the way that they feel about themselves. For maybe those people that struggle to shed that weight, where they're just saying, I feel like I'm doing what I can. Do you have any kind of tips or strategies or things that maybe could help them out?
Yeah, so obviously increasing your activity helps, and that can be in small steps. It doesn't have to be huge chunks of time if you're limited in time. It doesn't have to be super strenuous if you have physical limitations to your activity. It can be simple, using the stairs, parking farther away when you go to the store, walking around the store several times while you're shopping. So it can be really simple increases in activity. Limiting processed foods also helps, increasing your fruits and vegetables, eating them as naturally as you can get them. Those are all things that can help and can improve your health and your weight. Discussing your weight with your physician also can be helpful. There are some medications that cause weight gain and contribute to weight gain, and so that can be adjusting those medications and switching to other ones can be helpful.
And, you know, I know you were talking about increasing your activity. It seems like in the world today, especially after the pandemic, people don't necessarily have to leave their home anymore. A lot of people work from home now. A lot of people can even get their groceries delivered to their home. Do you think that's something else that maybe is contributing to this? And even what you said, the idea that maybe the percentage of people that are obese in the United States is going to go up even more, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We've seen a big rise in obesity numbers since COVID. Because of everything that you mentioned. Everything can be ordered online, delivered to your house. People are working from home. And some of the people working from home may not go back into work. They're realizing, a lot of companies are realizing that they can be just as effective with remote access to their employees. So it absolutely contributes. And there are lots of things you can also get delivered to your house, like resistance bands for when you have breaks at work, or ellipticals that sit under your desk, or standing desks where you can stand up and take breaks throughout the day. So there are other things you can build in that can help you in the right direction.
And like you said, it can just be some easy steps and easy things that you can incorporate in your day-to-day. And it's not necessarily like, a lot of people I think go in and they're like, I have to change my entire life and I'm going to restrict and I'm only going to eat these foods. And then they feel like it's just too much to manage. But like you said, there could just be simple things that people just start with one thing. You know, I'm going to get up and I'm going to walk around the block, you know, once a day, and then eventually building in more things that maybe you want to implement. Is that some advice that you think would maybe, do you think that's what people struggle with a lot of times when it comes to thinking about losing weight, as they just get overwhelmed by it all?
Yeah, absolutely. Most people think that they have to overhaul everything that they've been doing for their entire life in a month span. The best thing to do would be to make small, healthy changes that you can maintain. So really, lifestyle changes are more important than diet, and something that's more profound that won't be able to be maintained.
And with the patients that you see, do you feel like sometimes it's not, I mean, a lot of times there's a lot of mental aspects that go with weight management and lifestyle changes. Is that a big part of it too, would you say?
Yeah, it is. When you're physically unable to do the things that bring you joy that you want to do, that impacts your mental health, it impacts your mood, it impacts your interpersonal relationships. And so as the weight comes down, all of those things get better, and you feel like you can better live your life and have a better quality of life.
For sure. Well, Dr. Daigle, this has been insightful. I've enjoyed talking to you. Is there anything that you feel like we missed that you want to make sure that we hit on for our viewers out there?
I don't think so. We're here to help. So if you have made all these changes and are not getting the results that you would like, we're here for you at the Methodist Weight Management Clinic. We have 2 bariatric surgeons if you want to go surgical. You have myself for the medical weight loss, and we have 2 dietitians who are fantastic. We have lots of resources that can help.
And real quick, when do people know that they should go and maybe seek help from a physician, especially when it comes to surgery?
That's variable. It depends on the patient. Some people, most people that we see have struggled with weight off and on for their lives. Some just decades, but everybody's different. Everybody has their own threshold. And when you feel like you've done everything that you can do and you're needing help, and sometimes even before that, if you don't want to get to the point where you feel like you've done everything and you need help early, that's okay too. It's different for everybody.
All right, bariatric physician Dr. Lee Daigle, we appreciate your time this morning and you getting this information out to our viewers. You have a good one, all right?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. You too.
All right, let's take a break right now from that, and let's talk about colon health, because it is March, and we're always looking for ways to improve our health. And March is one of those where it's Colon Cancer Awareness Month. And let's bring in dietitian to the Action News 5 digital desk, Leslie Eli. She joins us now from Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. Leslie, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's talk about the link between nutrition and cancer. Is there one, and if so, what?
Sure. So the American Cancer Society does say that about 18% of all cancers and about 16% of cancer deaths are linked to maybe excessive body weight, physical inactivity, and just overall poor nutrition. So this is a great time to be talking about this with Colon Cancer Awareness Month, but it's also National Nutrition Month as well.
Okay, that's interesting. They both go hand in hand, it sounds like. So March, Colon Cancer Awareness Month. What are the best types of food to support good colon health?
So when we're talking colon health, we want high fiber. We want to increase that fiber in our diet, and we want to think about things like probiotics. So when we talk about fiber, we want more fruits and veggies. Think about trying to eat vegetables and fruits with the skins on them. So like our apples, our potatoes, that's where that fiber is going to be found in those. We want to increase our whole grains. We want to try to make half of our grains at least whole grains. And those are things like quinoa, barley, farro, oats, doing brown rice or wild rice instead of white rice, but also including things like beans and legumes. So these are perfect additions to soups and casseroles like black beans, kidney beans, lentils. And then we're also going to want to increase our probiotic rich foods. So things like yogurt, kombucha, kimchi, kefir, all of those things help flourish and revamp the gut flora in our colon, and can also just be really overall tasty additions to our meals.
I'm curious about a couple things when it comes to colon health. Red meat and sugar. What can you tell me about that?
So we definitely want to be proactive in trying to reduce the amount of red meat that we're eating, and focus on leaner cuts of meat like chicken, turkey, fish, but also even trying plant-based and some of these like beans and legumes that we've already talked about. Those can be easy swaps for protein in our meals that are not red meats. And then as far as sugar goes, same thing. We want to try to reduce our overall intake of sugar if we can, and just do more of our fiber-rich foods, our plant-based foods, and make that a priority for our colon health. Sugary drinks and beverages can lead to insulin resistance, and that can increase, our risk of colon cancer as well.
We know exercise is good on so many different levels, Leslie. Does exercise help the colon? If so, how?
Sure. Exercise keeps our bowels regular, helps reduce constipation, and again, just keeps our colon cancer risk lower. So there's no wrong way to move. If you like hiking, running, yoga, dancing, whatever it is, just try to get moving more each day.
Okay, and then what about meal prepping? A lot of people like to meal prep, plan ahead. Do you have maybe some tips that we can use if we're meal planning?
Sure. So the easiest way I think to start is to have a plan, make a list, and sit down and plan out your whole meals for the week. I find it easier if you are more aware at the beginning of the week, saying, okay, I'm going to really try to increase my vegetables, add more whole grains. You can maybe even cook once and use it twice. So make a double portion of something and use it in 2 different meals. Also trying to pre-prepare your snacks. So doing fruits and veggies as your snacks, even making like a a yogurt dip for them. So kind of adding in multiple of those foods that we've talked about. And also just not forgetting to prepare as far as your fluid intake by packing your water bottle and taking that with you so you always have access to that during the day.
Where can we go? You've mentioned a bunch of things, Leslie. Where can we go to get some of this information online?
So you can always look on eatright.org. That's our dietitian's professional platform. They have a lot of good information about colon health on there. The Cancer Society also had information when I was glancing at it. Always reach out to a registered dietitian if you have more questions or concerns. We have dietitians here at Methodist that are definitely open to talking about that. Cancer.org is going to be a good place to look for these resources as well.
Okay, Leslie Ely, Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare dietitian. We appreciate any kind of tips and tricks and suggestions and ways to improve our health. We appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, well, let's talk about some things we have on deck here on the Action News 5 digital desk. So we're going to be talking with a sleep expert about daylight saving time and how there is a push to eliminate it, where we just stick to one time throughout the entire 365 days of the year. She also is going to address just some of the health impacts and reasons why she thinks that it's not a good idea to fall forward, or fall back, spring forward. And so, of course, many of you know this weekend we are expected to lose an hour on Sunday. Also, the Collage Dance Collective, they do so many great things. They're such a great company, and it's one of only a few professional ballet companies in the world with a roster of dancers who are Black or people of color. So Kim Clark put together a really great 5-star story highlighting this dance company and the work that they're doing here in the Mid-South. Also, have you been excited about the Memphis Showboats? If you have been, you have the chance to snag your tickets today. Ticket sales are starting. We're going to let you know where you can purchase those tickets, and you can find all of that this morning. We'll be talking about it in the next half hour or so here at the Action News 5 digital desk. So today we're expecting to learn whether a controversial case against the city of Memphis will be dismissed. Alicia Franklin claims the same man who killed Eliza Fletcher raped her beforehand. In December, the city of Memphis admitted that police did not fingerprint the location where Franklin said she was raped and admitted that they did not integrate Cleotha Henderson until 3 days before, or interrogate Cleotha Henderson until 3 days before Eliza Fletcher's body was identified. So there's now a hearing scheduled. It's happening today to figure out whether the case will be dismissed or will be allowed to proceed further. We'll keep you updated on air and, of course, online here at the Action News 5 digital desk as we're able to find out more information. So stick with us. The Shelby County District Attorney's Office says that it's working to enhance data transparency within its office. The DA's office announced that it's entering into an understanding with national reform group Justice Innovation Lab. So this group is composed of former prosecutors, also data experts that are working to review the DA's office's data for the next 12 to 18 months and then help design a public-facing data dashboard for the DA's website. So that's something we wanted to let you know that is going to be coming up down the pipeline. The federal case against Pepper Tree Apartments has now been closed, so that means the judge sees no further reason to monitor the case. Pepper Tree was deemed a public nuisance in Shelby County in December of 2021. We've been following it since that time. Residents have been given vouchers letting them relocate anywhere in the country that accepts housing assistance vouchers, but relocation could take up to 120 days. All parties will file joint status updates with the court every 6 months.
Obviously, it's not the result we wanted in terms of closure of the property. We thought we could do some things to get it back in shape and comply with HUD's regulations and standards. They thought otherwise. We have to respect that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the key is going to be getting the individuals out in a timely fashion, making sure everyone qualifies. So we're prepared to do everything we can do to make that process seamless.
The environmental case against Pepper Tree Apartments is still active. A hearing is scheduled for tomorrow. Amanda Hansen here at the Action News 5 digital desk. And if you're not hungry right now, you're about to be, because On Wednesdays, we like to talk with Commercial Appeal food reporter Jennifer Chandler. She's always bringing us the good eats around the Mid-South. Jennifer, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing very well, except for I don't like this weather forecast.
I know, right? I'm just kind of like, man, I don't want any rain. It's gloomy outside. We're halfway through the week. So, yeah, it is what it is. But you know what? We'll get through it. We'll get through it. And I know today... today we're talking about crawfish, and before we really dive in, I lived in Arkansas for several years, you know this, and it seemed like every other weekend it was a crawfish boil. It was part of like summer and spring, and so I was so excited to be talking about this today.
Yes, I mean, it definitely is. It's like Herald Spring. I mean, you know, March is now here pretty much, and spring is, you know, daffodils are springing, and that means crawfish are available. So the season traditionally runs kind of like mid to end of February through May or June. For me, the ones that become in the beginning of February tend to be a little smaller. They're a little more expensive. So in my opinion, it really kind of kicks off right now at the beginning of March. And March and April and the beginning of May are the best time to enjoy crawfish. So in my opinion, every weekend you should be partaking in crawfish somewhere, somehow. And what's really cool is there are so many options to get crawfish here in Memphis there's so many more than there used to be. So you can get authentic crawfish boils, and most of this crawfish is brought up from Louisiana and boiled fresh right there, and it's just like the same experience you would have if you were visiting New Orleans.
And I have some video that I snagged from commercialappeal.com. And I don't know if you want to go ahead and start going through your list of spots, like where people can go to maybe find.
I'm going to tell you some of the ones you can do, because it's pretty crazy how it's all over the city of Memphis. And so I have a little cheat sheet right here. I might look at it every once in a while. But one of my favorites that I've been going to a long time, Cajun Crawdads, that's a good one, is that Billy's Crawfish in Hernando. That is a great one to go to. Billy Crumley has been bringing up crawfish from Louisiana every week for years and years and years now. I've had it boiled from his truck, and I've also bought live from him myself for parties. Crawfish Cabin, if you're looking for one that's in the city of limits of Memphis, it's at Walnut Grove and Houston Levee, and they talk about how they have the really spicy New Orleans style crawfish. I believe they also do boiled shrimp as well. You might need to double check that to make sure they're doing that this year. Crawfish Shack, which is on Poplar and June Road, which is basically Poplar and Yates in front of, I believe that store there is called Oxbow. They're there every week and serving up crawfish. That's really convenient for those that live in the city of Memphis. Right down the road too is Memphis Crawfish Company 2, which is at 5133 Park. Those are the two that are really kind of in the heart of Memphis proper. One of the funny things, there's Memphis Crawfish Company 2, which is in Memphis, but Memphis Crawfish Company 1 has been in Olive Branch for they're celebrating their 20th year this year. And so Memphis Crawfish Company 2 is run by somebody else, but they buy all their crawfish and have it brought up from Memphis Crawfish Company 1. So there are lots of places that are, these are all that I talked about are food trucks. And so most of these places serve you know, boiled seafood, and you can also order live seafood, live crawfish from them if you want to boil your own. Most, you have to check on my list I have on commercialappeal.com. I have all of this information, or you can go to their social media sites or their websites. But most are open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sunday. Most sell out by Sunday. And if you want to order live crawfish, you really need to do it like at the beginning of the week, because these people drive down to Louisiana like on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and drive it back up here. So it is super fresh live crawfish. I'm also going to mention a couple of places that you can go to if you do want more of a restaurant experience versus a food truck. Glaze's crawfish, Glaze Hardage, he has a side business that he does, and he does a great job. I think that's a picture from one of his boils, if I'm not sure. But he cooks every Saturday during the season at Max's Sports Bar down on downtown. It's kind of in the South Main area. It's kind of right down the street from the arcade. And then this year, every Sunday, he is going to be cooking at Laughlin Yard. So you can go to either one of those places and get your crawfish and get a cocktail or a beer to go with it. Billy's Crawfish, I mentioned Billy Crumley. He has his food truck, but he also has a restaurant in Hernando called Crossroads Seafood. And you can get everything from boiled crawfish there to gator to, he has a really good a shrimp kind of bisque, a shrimp chowder that he does, a seafood chowder that's really, really good. And then also Rail Garden will be hosting boils every Thursday night during the season. So it just, a lot of those things I would say, these outdoor ones at venues like Laughlin Yard and Rail Garden, just check their social media if the weather's bad. Because sometimes if the weather is bad, they're not going to host them. But sometimes they do them in the rain. So it's just, if you're really hungry for crawfish, there are lots of options you can go to.
I'm probably going to be going to either Rail Garden or Laughlin because, for one, I like the atmosphere of those places. It kind of reminds me of what your traditional crawfish boil would be like, because it seemed like we'd always put the red and white checkered cloth across the table. You just dump it all out on the table and you eat, and you have the big garbage can, and it's kind of just like, I don't know. I love it. I love it. And so it's so much fun. And I know you were going to talk a little bit about how to cook crawfish. And one thing I wanted to ask, do you normally are you the kind of the traditionalist when it comes to like the corn, the potatoes, or do you kind of throw some other stuff in there to make it fun?
Well, that's one of my tips that I'm going to give you. But yes, I normally do all of the normal things, but I have a friend who introduced me to throwing Brussels sprouts into your crawfish boil. And it is so, so good. Now, I did take a moment and, I've been cooking crawfish myself. We've hosted crawfish boils for years. And I giggle when you said you put down a red and white checkered tablecloth, because you're much more fancier than we are, because I just throw down newspapers.
Hey, that works too, right?
Yeah, I work for the paper. I have newspapers now. So one of the things that I talked to him for a minute to Glaze Hardage to get his expert tips to make sure that I was doing everything correct as far as doing my crawfish. And luckily, most of the things I was doing correctly. So I want to make sure I was excited to hear that. But one of the first things he says that when you are cooking live crawfish is you need to give your crawfish a bath. Because, they don't call them mud bugs for nothing. They are covered in mud, and because they burrow down in the mud. And so you want to get all of that stuff off of them before you cook them. So the easiest way to do that is to put your crawfish in a bucket or in some type of tub, put the hose in it, and just keep running the cold water on it until the water runs clear. That's simple to do. So always give your, number one tip, always give your crawfish, your mud bugs, a bath so that they're no longer muddy. Then when it comes to seasoning, you can always, this is some tips that I learned. Glaze goes all out when he does the seasoning. I've always used like crab boil or crawfish dry seasoning and kind of left it, maybe thrown some lemons in there, maybe some garlic, and left it at that. But I'm looking at my list right now just so I can tell you all the things that Glaze puts in his seasoning blend. He puts crawfish dry seasoning. He puts liquid crab boil. He puts lemons and lemon juice. He puts hot sauce. He puts garlic. He puts onions, celery salt, and then if that's not spicy enough, he adds a little bit of cayenne to kind of kick it up another notch. It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Wow. Well, and for me, I'm one of those people that I want to be crying when I'm eating my food. I like it that spicy. I'm one of those people. So to me, I'm like, ooh, that sounds amazing. And I know you were talking about putting Brussels sprouts in there, which I have had before. It is delicious, like you said. But I've even had people that put okra in there or mushrooms, and it's actually pretty good too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Glaze told me that he, in addition to the corn and sausage and potatoes, I love the idea of okra. I've never done that before. I'm gonna try that this year. But he also has put like these things. Some of these things are crazy. He's put pineapple in there. He's put asparagus. He's put baby carrots. He's put sweet potatoes. Now he doesn't do that at the crawfish boils that you're gonna go to at Max's Sports Bar or Laughlin Yard. But when he's cooking for his friends and family, and he'll throw all of these kind of crazy things in there to kind of mix it up. And it, one of the things I always tell people in the morning is like when you take a bite of corn or potato, you think you're going to take a bite of that so that it's like a little less, that you're going to be calming down the heat. I found actually sometimes those things are spicier than the crawfish themselves.
I agree. And I like the idea of pineapple. I could see how that would work, with the spiciness and kind of paired with the sweetness. I could see how that would actually work. That sounds like a good idea that I would have never thought to try.
Yeah. And I'm going to add one more tip since you like them spicy. Is one of the things that Glaze says to do is always, after your crawfish is cooked, let it soak for about 20 to 30 minutes. So all of those flavors and spices really infuse into the meat and all of your sides that you have thrown in there. But one of the things that's you kind of need to reduce the heat a little bit. So what he does, he suggested a couple of things. You could throw ice in there, but that'll kind of dilute, all the spices. So he often will throw frozen corn, like the corn on the, little corn on the cob that you often see at crawfish boils. He'll throw those in there to reduce the temperature. Or he talked about, and I have to go look this up. He says there's a new gadget called the Boil Boss, and it somehow you put it around your pot, and it circulates cold water around the pot to reduce the temperature to the ideal temperature so that when you can allow your crawfish to soak. It's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it sounds like something that I would probably see on an infomercial, and it would tell me 10 reasons why I should buy it, and I would automatically buy it because I'm like, this is amazing. But it's so cool, the gadgets they have out there right now, and my kitchen is actually full of all kinds of, I like to cook. So, yeah, but that sounds interesting. I've never even heard of that, so good stuff.
Yeah, and I always tell people, when you go to a crawfish boil, if it's your first time to eat crawfish, don't be daunted. They are these little crustaceans that you're kind of pulling apart and you're eating with your hands. And there's always usually somebody at the party or somebody there that is from Louisiana or has been eating them her whole life. Or you can invite me and I'll come over and I'll show you how to eat them. But don't be afraid to do that and to get your hands all messy. And, it's one of those things that you eat the tails and you suck the heads. All those good juices from the spices, especially if you like things spicy, is suck that meat and that juice out of that head, and it's so good.
It's so good. No, I'm right there with you, and I love this. And all this information is on commercialappeal.com. You even have a video on there. I saw that on how to eat crawfish. So if people have never had crawfish before and they need to know the process from a pro, you have all that covered for everybody.
Yeah, and there are more places than we mentioned on that list too. I do this list. I selfishly do this list for me every year because I love to eat crawfish so much. And it's a full list. It has their hours. It has the links to their websites or their social media. Tells you kind of what they offer, and that whole list is up there for you. So depending on what part of town you're in, there is an option for you. But just remember, if you're going to order boiled crawfish, order live crawfish to boil yourself, you want to do that. My rule of thumb is I always order on Monday. And most of these people just let you email them or text them or call them. It's a pretty easy process.
Great. Well, Jennifer, we love having you on each and every time that you join us, and you're always bringing it. So you have a great rest of your day, and I am looking so forward to crawfish season.
Yeah. Enjoy some this weekend.
See you next time. All right, well, this weekend we are going to be losing an hour. We're going to be springing forward, daylight saving time. And of course, I do appreciate the additional sunlight in the evenings, but losing an hour, it's always difficult for me. So we have someone here joining us to talk more about this topic and just ways to adjust, why there's such an impact on your body when you're experiencing daylight saving time, and just the risks associated with that. So joining me now, we have Dr. Kathy Sexton, Roddick joining us. She is a professor of psychology and Department of Psychology chair in the Division of Social Sciences with Elmhurst University. Doctor, good morning. How are you doing?
Hi, good morning. Thank you for the invite. It's important, we think, from the American Academy of Sleep Medicine to get the message out about this time change that's set up, and we're doing it. But we as an association want to get the message out that we prefer that we use standard time, not this fall back, spring ahead, switching hours each time in the fall and the spring. You see, the science behind it is that the natural sunlight is a cue to our body for our natural sleep-wake cycle. And if we are in tune with that and try not to have too much of our regular schedules modify that, we'll experience a little more optimal sleep. And really, that's what we all want, sleep health. I mean, it's one of the pillars of good health: sleep, exercise, nutrition. So we're all there, I think, with that goal in mind.
For sure. And I don't think people even think about how big of an impact sleep has on your health, and when you don't get enough of it, what it can do. Real quick, if you don't mind, I don't know why your lens looks a little blurry. Is there a way you can kind of wipe your lens off a little bit? I hate to ask. Are you on a computer monitor?
Yes, I am.
Is there a little lens that you could see that you could maybe wipe off? See if that helps a little bit.
Does that help?
I think that helped. Back up a little bit because your background's. It's a live stream, yeah.
Gosh.
Zoom issues. It looks a little bit better. I just want to make sure that the information we're getting from you we can use later in a newscast, and if it doesn't look, the look. I know you're trying to have one of the a background. It doesn't look like the background's taking.
Yeah.
The Elmhurst University. I don't know why it's not taking.
It comes on and then it seems to fade.
And then it cuts out. Yeah, I'm not sure why it's doing that.
Looks like it's faded now. How about now? What's this like for you?
I wonder if you should just take the background out and just use your normal background that you have behind you. That'll probably look better.
Okay, will do.
Don't you love Zoom?
Sure.
And
oh,
of
yeah.
course this is. Yeah, and of course this is our digital desk, and it's one of those things where you just make the adjustments when you need to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Kathy, while you're working on that, actually looks better. It looks a little bit better.
Okay.
All right, there we go. Okay, so if you don't mind, I know we were talking about just the impacts, and there's been a push, I know, even from lawmakers that are wanting to eliminate daylight saving time. And so can you just talk to me a little bit more? I know that the American Academy of Sleep Medicine did a survey, and it was saying that the majority of respondents, like over 60%, said they want to eliminate seasonal time changes. And of course, from a medical standpoint, that also there's concern about the impacts of this time change and how it can impact people out there. So if you don't mind touching on that again for me.
Yes, the Sunshine Act, which we're in support of to try to get universal acceptance of standard time. Each time you have to adjust when we do that hour change, spring forward, fall back, you have to reacclimate your natural individual sleep-wake cycle, your circadian rhythm. And with that period of adjustment, you may not be at your most alert. And you pointed out some information about medical findings. In fact, survey studies, tabulations from lawmakers, law enforcement, public health has documented higher rates of presentations of coronary heart disease, different emergent cardiovascular conditions, and in the law enforcement realm, higher rates of motor vehicle accidents related to this sleepiness, we think, as people are not quite at their optimal alertness, missing that hour, having a readjustment of that hour. And also with the change where it is still darker in the morning in the fall, there's been also reportings of different kinds of pedestrian as well as motor vehicle altercations as a result of the difficulty with seeing and sleepiness combined together. Now, whether these are co-occurrences, and that we're not saying cause and effect, but co-occurrences, they are at alarmingly higher rates right around this week to 10 days to 2 days out from the change in the time in the fall and in the spring. So our natural circadian rhythm gives us an optimal sense of feeling rested and allowing for our ability to attend and concentrate, to drive our car, to do our work at the office or facility we're at in school for students. And when we change that, we have to have that period of adjustment. Now, we're in the midst of this, and we have to have the period of adjustment. That's the other point you were asking about. And so, okay, let's work with the thing to do. So set your alarm for a regular wake-up time, despite whether it's bright and sunny or still dark in the fall term with those changes. Get up at a regular wake-up time. Try to minimize all those sleep-inhibiting kinds of behaviors you might be doing. Watch the caffeine level. Exercise is great, but try to keep it earlier in the day so that you're not alerted too much right at bedtime. Have a bedtime routine, something you do, and include in that turning off those electronics at least an hour before, and also some sort of calming activity that gives a person a peace of mind. Sleep is determined by natural internal rhythms, and they're influenced by our behavior. So if we can modulate and turn down our behavior into relaxation mode, the natural workings of the brain to start different stages of sleep will just begin and allow us to go to this lovely repose of being able to give ourselves this rest and relaxation and invigoration to face and work in the next day.
You know, and I think probably the hardest things that I deal with is just turning my phone off and getting rid of that screen time before I go to sleep. It's hard to sometimes be like, well, I need to check this email and I need to do this and I need to do that. But like you said, if you put that down and you set this as a standard, this is what I'm going to do every night, and you get into that routine, it will help with your sleep. I'm one of those people, I work early morning, so of course I enjoy that sunshine early in the morning. But yeah, I think, and what we were kind of touching on a little bit earlier is just, I don't think people think about how much sleep impacts your overall health. When I was working mornings where I would have to get up at 1 a.m. and come into work, I struggled because I would get only about 4 hours of sleep some nights, and it does start to take a toll. Can you talk about maybe some of the health impacts that can kind of come into play when you're just not getting that optimal sleep?
Yeah, the point you make in the background context, you know, a busy, competent professional, you got to check your phone for, you know, important reasons, but within reason, or at least minimally put the screen on so that you're not getting that bright blue light that's alerting and giving your brain that messaging. Now, should you have one of those schedules that are very taxing, like you're describing, your busy schedule, your intense schedule, at least trying to have time in which you might be able to take a short power nap, 20 minutes or so. That way your brain doesn't get into the full set of what is a night of sleep, but it gives you a little bit of a catch-up, and taking that as earlier in the day, optimally in the afternoon as you can. With the busy schedule like you gave as an example, it may not allow for an opportunity, but if it does, an opportunity to go out and just get some natural sunlight, even if it means a small break in that busy day you described that others have as well, I'm certain of, going out, stepping outside, walk to a very brief area and then walk back. That movement, that being out in that natural sunlight first thing in the morning will help to give signaling to the brain through the visual pathways that it's time for wake, even though that competent professional or student or fill in the blank anything as a role in life is very busy and is up and working and doing things at odd hours. At least have a regular wake-up time in the morning and get some natural sunlight. And if it is a bad day, fragmented sleep, interrupted sleep to go off to work shift like you described, pursue through the day, and maybe as your schedule might allow, a small power nap. Keeping mindful of the other areas that I mentioned before too. Keep a small amount of caffeine in the morning as necessary, 1 cup. that's fine, but keep that level low, or one Pepsi or one soda, whatever someone likes. And then also, if not time for exercise, at least movement, like I was mentioning before, a small walk out into the sun, a stretch in front of a window that then gathers some natural light and is not a filtered window, so you can get a little bit of that benefit for yourself. Watching these kinds of tasks allows you to be able to get your sense of optimal rest when you're trying to balance that with competent professional work that you want to do and are so good at.
Absolutely. And kind of like what you mentioned, I had to learn to set boundaries too when it came to that sort of thing. And then, like you said, getting into a routine, I got to the point, well, I went out and I bought myself some heavy dark curtains. So even if the sunlight was out, I could create that dark nighttime atmosphere, and I would give myself a certain amount of time to wind down. And so a lot of good information, Doctor, and I really appreciate you taking some time to join us here on the Digital Desk. And those tips are going to come in handy for people as we lose that hour this weekend.
It was my pleasure, privilege to represent the association. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. You have a good one, all right?
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, well, here's a live look right now. This is our High Five camera here in Midtown Memphis. It's kind of a gloomy day out there. We're dealing with some rain. We've already seen rain in parts of the Mid-South. I was looking at some of the traffic cameras a little bit earlier, and I saw some rain over in the Lakeland area. I'm going to see if I can get that pulled up for you, that traffic camera that I was watching. See if it's still raining over there. Oh, well, let's see. Looks like it's dry right now, actually. Here's a look right now. It was sprinkling there in that area, but it looks like that's moved through. We're expecting to see, rain throughout the area all throughout the day. Here's another live look, our High Five camera in downtown Memphis. Looks like there's a bit of a drizzle out there right now. But I want to time this all out for you, give you the update on what you need to know to be able to plan your day accordingly, because we're going to see rain not only today, but also tomorrow. Here's meteorologist Brittany Bryant.
Good morning. We're tracking this weather system that's pushing through eastern Arkansas and starting to bring some light rain into West Tennessee as well. So as we go through the morning, 9:30 here, going through noon, you'll notice that rain continues to push east. We have heavy rain by lunchtime today in Memphis, the rest of Shelby County going into Brownsville, also in northwest Mississippi starting to see some rain too. So we'll have these on and off light showers probably through around 5 o'clock. After that, we'll start to see some breaks in the rain, especially along and west of the river. A few showers over towards Ashland and Corinth for the drive home at 5, and then we'll be mostly dry through around midnight tonight. After that rain starts to move in. You'll get another round of showers and thunderstorms tomorrow. There's only a 1 out of 5 for that severe weather threat, which means severe weather is unlikely. But there could be a quick gust of wind, maybe some small hail with the system as it moves through on Thursday. Let's talk about that Thursday timing. Here's 8 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. Some heavy rain in Tunica, Hernando, eastern Arkansas, might even see a few downpours in West Tennessee, including in Memphis. We'll have rounds of rain, so you'll probably get a break for a few hours in the afternoon, but then more thunderstorms arrive right around 5 o'clock on Thursday. And around that time, we'll have some instability in place, so that's when we could see those gusts of wind or that small hail. Notice those reds and oranges indicating some heavy rain along 55 from Osceola going into Blytheville. Also some downpours in Fayette County and Hardeman County. And that rain's on and off through at least 10 o'clock at night on Thursday. Thankfully, weather models starting to push that rain out of here a little bit earlier. So this is 5 a.m. Friday. You'll notice no rain showing up on First Alert Featurecast, although I'm not completely ruling out a little bit of drizzle early in the morning. We honestly do not need any more rain at this point. We've already had almost 3.5 inches of rain for the month of March. It's only March 8th. That puts us 2 inches above normal for the month. And we may add on another inch or two of rain too with this system moving through today and tomorrow. About 1.5 inches of rain in the Memphis area through late Thursday night into early Friday, close to 1 inch in Wynn, and about 1.5 inches also over towards Holly Springs. Some spots may get slightly higher totals if you get a downpour that sets up over your area. And temperatures today not very high because of the clouds and rain and a north breeze. We're at 51 at noon. 54 at 3 o'clock and down to the lower 50s at 7. And the northeast breeze today could be up to around 25 miles per hour this morning and close to 15 to 20 miles per hour through 2 o'clock. After that, winds won't really be an issue anymore. Your First Alert weekend forecast includes temperatures near 60 degrees on Saturday and Sunday. Now, Saturday looks okay. We'll have some sunshine early, temperatures in the upper 50s, but then late Saturday night into early Sunday, we'll probably have some rain that starts to move into the Mid-South, and Sunday does look soggy for us. So again, 54 today, 60s Thursday, Thursday, Friday. We're near 60 degrees over the weekend. But once that Sunday cold front moves through here, temperatures drop down to the 50s on Monday with lows in the 30s that night, then temperatures in the lower 50s Tuesday.
Well, a 3-year-old boy is recovering this morning after a violent attack by a pack of mixed breed dogs in South Memphis. And neighbors say that they've been warning the family about the dog for months now. For months. Action News 5's Walter Murphy has more.
According to what they done, yeah, they vicious. If they can attack a baby and rip her up like that.
Memphis police say Monday night a 3-year-old boy named Lorenzo was taken to Le Bonheur Children's Hospital in critical condition after 5 dogs attacked him at his home on Barton Street in South Memphis. Mike Armstrong says he's very familiar with the dogs that attacked the 3-year-old and says they belonged to the boy's family. Armstrong says the dogs have been a nuisance to the entire neighborhood since the family moved in just a few months ago.
I didn't voice my concerns. A lot of people have, but they wouldn't listen. You know, you got little dogs running around here loose. They pits, breeded with pits.
While we were on Barton Street, the dog's owner, Kendall Taylor, approached us. Taylor didn't want to go on camera, but says the dogs were mixed breed and only 5 months old.
Just say if they'd have got older or they get older and they still doing it. And then when by that time, they got this whole neighborhood wrapped up.
Taylor said there were no charges stemming from the incident that sent the 3-year-old boy to the hospital, but we confirmed there is a warrant out for Taylor's arrest on felony charges of child endangerment. We also confirmed that in 2020, Taylor racked up 16 charges for violating city ordinances when it came to other dogs he had. 9 of those charges were for letting his dogs run free. We asked Taylor about all of this, and that's when he ended our conversation and walked away.
Walter Murphy reporting there. Memphis Animal Services says that they're working with the Memphis Police Department right now on this investigation. And once that is finished up, Taylor will receive a charge for each dog that was involved in the attack. They also say that he will appear in court next week. So we'll be following this story for you. So if you are one of those people that's ready to jump into the housing market, or maybe it's something you're looking to do down the road, it's never too early to start looking at saving for that down payment. So in this Watching Your Wallet, we're setting you up with our consumer investigator, Rachel DePompa, who's going to talk about more information that she got from a financial coach about ways to save for that future home.
If buying a home is on your wish list, it's time to figure out how much money you may need. Cherry Dale, a financial coach with the Virginia Credit Union, says there are so many different options when it comes to that payment. She says your first step should be to contact a loan officer to discuss the best option for you. Now, there are loans where you can put 0% down. Most lenders recommend you put down 20%. On a $300,000 house, that's a $60,000 down payment. Dale also says figure out what your mortgage would be on your dream home. Then figure out how much more that is than you are paying on rent. Maybe it's $500 more than you pay now.
And start practicing paying that entire mortgage payment by opening up a savings account and pocketing that $500 into the savings account. So you're pretend paying that mortgage before you actually get in there, and then you can know if it fits your budget without, being overwhelmed with the thought of defaulting on a mortgage.
Once you know how much you need for a down payment, Dale says, to set up a savings account just for it. Make automatic contributions to that account. Any bonus or tax refund you get should go into that account. And put a time frame on your goal. Figure out how much you need to set aside each month so you can realistically be ready to buy a home maybe 2 years down the road. With this Watching Your Wallet, I'm Rachel DePompa.
So an Arkansas mother and her boyfriend accused of killing a 5-year-old boy are expected to be in court today. Ashley Rowland and Nathan Bridges were arrested after the boy was found buried under their home in Lee County. You may remember this story. Both are charged with capital murder, abuse of a corpse, tampering with physical evidence, and endangering the welfare of a minor. Tennessee lawmakers now working on a bill to increase teacher spending for their classrooms. It's such a burden for so many teachers out there. I know I have friends that are teachers and they pay a lot out of pocket. So this bill would increase the amount of money teachers in kindergarten through 12th grade get to purchase supplies. Right now, teachers receive about $200 in funding for their classrooms. So under the bill, that amount would increase to $600, which I know from my friends that work in education, that would be very beneficial for them. So March is Poison Prevention Awareness Month, and by definition, a poison is any substance that can cause harm, even death. But not all poisons are obvious to you. Each year, more than 2 million people are reported accidentally poisoned in the U.S. An estimated 75,000 children under the age of 5 end up in the ER from poisoning, and some are fatal. Most of these are preventable too, and that's why Action News 5's Andrew Douglas reports on things that you need to know and things that maybe you see every single day that could be harmful to your children and even your pets.
Whether it's your eyeshadow, toothpaste, hair care products, nail polish remover, or hand sanitizer, all of these things contain harmful chemicals that, if ingested in large amounts, can cause vomiting, diarrhea, and skin irritation. Even some hair dyes can cause severe burns in the mouth and esophagus. Most of us have some type of pain medication in the house, whether it's over-the-counter acetaminophen or prescribed meds. A small dose can cause permanent liver damage and even kill a child. Cleaning products often come in bright bottles that kids can't help but notice. One in particular to lock up, laundry pods. Reports show poison control centers receive one call every 42 minutes claiming a child has eaten one. According to the CDC, carbon monoxide is the leading cause of poisoning death. One place it comes from, within your home is a gas range. Those most at risk are people with asthma. Don't forget to keep Fido safe as well. Some things you may not realize are poisonous to pets: diffusers with eucalyptus, cinnamon, and peppermint oils. The vapors can have significant health effects to your pets if inhaled, and pets can get poisoned from inhaling secondhand marijuana smoke. If you suspect that you or someone else has been poisoned, don't wait for signs of poisoning. Immediately call the Poison Control Help Hotline at 1-800-222-1222.
Andrew Douglas reporting there. We're actually going to be talking with a vet next week about risks when it comes to items around your house that could be toxic to your pets. So that's something to look forward to next week on the Digital Desk. They're going to have a lot of good information for sure. And when it comes to food, old potatoes that have that greenish cast under their skin, those are toxic. Kidney beans, especially red kidney beans, contain toxins called lectins. And then as little as 4 or 5 of those raw red kidney beans can cause stomach aches, vomiting, and diarrhea. So make sure that you are cooking those thoroughly. A concert promoting inclusion in Tennessee is going to take place in Nashville. Tickets go on sale today. It's called Love Rising. You see it right there. It's going to be held March 20th at Bridgestone Arena. Performers include Sheryl Crow and many others. Maureen Morris, another one. Tickets go on sale at 10 a.m. So about 30 minutes from now, with proceeds going to organizations benefiting LGBTQ+ organizations. The Memphis Zoo holding a special competition ahead of Earth Day. The zoo is going to hold an art contest with 2 categories: most artistic, which will include paintings, sculptures, other kinds of artwork, and then most functional, which includes decorating backpacks, purses, and other items. So you can find all the information you need if you want to enter into this contest. It's on our website, actionnews5.com. And the winners, they're going to be announced April 22nd, which is Earth Day. It's also my sister's birthday. A little side note there for you. Season tickets and individual game tickets for the Memphis Showboats are going on sale today. So if you are a Memphis Showboats fan, you're able to get those tickets today. So season tickets start at $30, with the most expensive season tickets being $120. Individual game tickets start at $10, so very affordable, with the most expensive tickets at $40. So if you just want to go to one game, check it out, see how it feels. Not too costly for you and the family. All 6 Memphis Showboats home games and 4 Houston Gamblers games will be played at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. So you can buy your tickets at usfl.com. You see that website right there on your screen. So Memphis Showboats tickets, you're going to want to snag them, and they're affordable, which makes it even better and something fun for the whole family. So this morning we are saluting people in the Mid-South and things that make us proud to live here in Memphis. We love it here. I grew up here in the city of Memphis, and so I love that we're able to highlight these great things that our city has to offer. And so we're showcasing one of the South's largest Black-led performing arts organizations, located right here in Memphis. If you've driven down Sam Cooper, you've seen the building. It's you can't not see it. It's a gorgeous building, and that's the Collegiate Dance Collective. And I love that they have the glass windows where at night you can see the classes taking place and all of that. And it's only one of only a few professional ballet companies in the world with a roster of dancers who are Black or people of color. So we're highlighting this today. We're honoring it as part of Women's History Month. Kim Clark introduces us to some of the women who are the forefront of inspiring the growth and diversity of ballet and dance, starting right here in the city of Memphis.
Take a quicker on the point. Lenore Morales knows all too well the difficulties for people of color in the professional world of dance.
So I was always the Spanish dancer in Nutcracker. It was always that. But it's been challenging for dancers of color to get the lead roles or even get into companies, especially ballet companies.
The Juilliard School graduate and native Brooklynite moved to Memphis and joined the Collage Dance Collective in 2021.
The same thing with the head.
The company's artistic director, whom she'd also danced with in the Harlem Theater of Dance, called on her to fill the role of rehearsal director.
Felt that his vision for ballet, for the future, and for dancers of color was something I felt was really important.
Collage Dance, a professional dance company, actually began in New York City in 2006 in response to the ballet industry's lack of racial diversity on stage. The professional dance company moved to Memphis about a year later to fulfill its mission of extending the reach of outstanding classical ballet training, changing the landscape of dance in the American South in the process.
It's an organization that's giving dancers of color the opportunity to be seen in a different light. So ballet dancers of all shades, not just fair-skinned.
The more than 22,000 square foot state-of-the-art studio on the corner of Tillman and Sam Cooper opened in December of 2020. Its sunlit studios now filled with dancers practicing a range of classical and contemporary choreography.
I feel safe and I feel like I can express myself when I'm dancing.
Lauren Filson is a company artist, preparing on this day for an April performance. Dancing since the age of 2, Lauren moved to Memphis from Denver in 2020 to begin her professional career.
Go back to this section.
Which at Collage means 3 seasons of performances every year, as well as touring.
We've been to the Kennedy Center, we've been to multiple cities throughout the U.S.
At Collage, Lauren's found not only a place to dance, but a home where her natural hair is accepted and the tights and shoes are not the standard pink.
That's one thing that's different here from anywhere else is you get to wear tights that are your skin color. We get to pancake our shoes to match our skin tone. It's amazing to be able to see people around me who look like me and have the same skin color, and I don't feel alone whenever it comes to the way that I look in this art form.
Reagan Myers, a senior in high school, has also been dancing since she was a little girl.
It gives me freedom to express myself without even speaking. It gives me a space to relax and release energy, good or bad. Throughout the day, school can be hard, and dance really just is that outlet for me.
Reagan joined the Collage Youth Ensemble in 2015. She plans to study dance in college and one day own her own studio using what she's learned from Collage.
We get to firsthand really experience what it's like being a director. We see Mr. Kevin in action, and we kind of take ideas and bounce ideas off of them. And we really got that firsthand experience about how to create a show, how to manage performances. And I think it's good for people my age and younger upcoming dancers to see what success looks like with people that look like us. And I think building this studio was a really important part in building the confidence of future Black dancers.
I hope that they see someone who looks like them and they see that this is a career that's attainable. This can be a profession.
The Collage Dance Collective, bringing the art of dance to all.
It's life, it's living. I think it's a way of communication. I think all cultures have dance and music, and when people just kind of let themselves be free and move, there's a joy that comes up inside of you and this feeling that you can share with one another. You don't even have to say a word.
Kim Clark, Action News 5.
I love seeing the work that they're doing there and expanding the arts to so many people, and I love that. The Collage Dance Collective offers a number of programs, including a professional track for students that are interested considering dance in the future, because it can happen, and community classes for children and adults interested in jazz, tap, ballet, and more. There's even a community outreach program that goes into public area schools. So I think that that's awesome, going right to those who can benefit from a program like this. If you want to get some more information about just all the stuff that Collage Dance Collective does, you can click on this story on our website. Let me take you there real quick and show you where you can find this story. So if you look at our drop-down section here, you can see special reports. You'll find 5-star stories. Click there, and it's going to take you to the many stories put together by our very own Kim Clark. She does such an incredible job really digging in and showing you a different side of just a lot of these really cool places here in the city of Memphis. So you can just click on this top story at the very top of the 5-star stories, and of course it will give you all the information you want to know about the Collage Dance Collective doing awesome things. So I'm going to change things up a little bit because we have a story that so many people are paying attention to, not just here in Memphis, but we were getting phone calls yesterday, even at the national level, wanting to know what plans were regarding this story. And that was when city leaders said that they were going to be releasing the more than 20 hours worth of additional sound and video that was related to that beating of Tyre Nichols. So This is a story that has received a lot of national attention, and people are wanting to, are just waiting for this video to be released. This case started more than 2 months ago, and we understand that the Memphis Police Department says that they have wrapped up, they say the investigation is wrapping up as far as this goes. So the anticipation around the release of the traffic stop video in late January, it had a lot of the city and really the entire country on edge when released by city officers. They were saying that viewer discretion was advised with that video released earlier. Now the same thing is expected later today with this new footage that's going to be released to the public out of what the police chief says, transparency. They're wanting to be transparent. In the last videos, we saw 30 minutes of body-worn video near the intersection of Rains and Ross Road where Tyre Nichols was originally pulled over by Memphis police. We saw Sky Cop video without any audio at the location where Nichols was beaten yards away from his home. We also saw that body-worn video of that same location near Nichols' home. So we can expect more dialogue and interaction between those involved in the incident on the night of January 7th. 4 Memphis Fire and 13 Memphis police personnel faced disciplinary action. 1 Memphis police employee was able to retire before being fired.
The Memphis Police Department and the Memphis Fire Department have been conducting administrative investigations to determine if any employees violated policies with respect to their involvement in the Tyre Nichols matter. These are not criminal investigations. These are administrative investigations. At this stage, the investigation has been concluded.
As for now, 5 former MPD officers are facing criminal charges related to this. They're due back in court for their second court appearance come May 1st. And we'll, of course, keep you posted, and we'll be following this. And as soon as that new video footage is released, we're going to be bringing that to you on air and online. Meanwhile, the TBI is outsourcing rape kit testing to labs out of state as lawmakers look for a permanent solution to ease the backlog that has just been ongoing. Right now, Tennessee has 4 state labs that can test rape kits. That's evidence like swabs from the victim's body, clothing, photos that could lead to a suspect's identity. On average, it takes about 8 months for TBI to process a rape kit. And for those that were impacted by this, 8 months is a very long time. We spoke with the Director of Policy and Advocacy for In the Backlog about the bill being discussed in the legislature this week. The national organization is pushing for states to test all rape kits in their inventory quickly.
One of the most important pieces is to mandate the testing of kits and make sure that that's done swiftly. Because every single minute one of these kits sits on a shelf is another opportunity for a dangerous offender to victimize more people.
The TBI says it's already outsourcing testing. 550 kits are on the way to DNA Labs International based in Deerfield Beach, Florida. Nearly half of those kits are from right here in Shelby County. And if that's not sobering enough, just awful to hear, but at least those test kits are being sent out. We're going to follow the progress of the legislation impacting rape kit testing in Tennessee, so make sure you're sticking with us as we continue to follow the developments there. 2 of the 4 Americans kidnapped in Mexico now back in the U.S. One of the survivors was injured in the kidnapping, while the other is said to be unharmed. Unfortunately, Mexican government officials confirmed that the 2 other kidnapping victims did not survive that horrible, horrible attack. The Justice Department filed a lawsuit to block JetBlue's Airways' $3.8 billion proposed takeover of budget carrier Spirit Airlines. Spirit Airlines agreed to sell itself to JetBlue last summer after a long battle for the carrier between JetBlue and Frontier Airlines. New York-based JetBlue's acquisition of Spirit faced a high hurdle with regulators from the start. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg believes the new lawsuit is the right thing to do in order to keep affordable flights for all.
We are taking a step that, again, is unusual in terms of recent years, but we think is the right thing to do, supporting the DOJ's lawsuit and independently using our own authorities, which are a little bit different from the DOJ, starting our own investigation and taking other actions.
JetBlue has argued the combination would allow it to better compete with large airlines that dominate the U.S. market. So we have a warning for you this morning for parents considering in-home daycares. If you live in Tennessee, you know daycare is expensive, and one couple is sharing their story because they dealt with the unthinkable. And so they're sharing their story just so other people out there know what to ask if they are considering those in-home daycares. And this comes after their own child suffered second and third degree burns at the home of his daycare provider. Their son's doing better. The family is still working now, though, to pay thousands in medical bills. And so our consumer investigator, Rachel DePompa, finds out what you can do to keep your family safe from a daycare dilemma like the one we're about to share.
What book do you want, Bubby?
2-year-old Luke Herring loves story time.
Wherever, every day I love you, and I will always love you.
His family is just hopeful he won't remember his story from when he was just 18 months old.
He was screaming bloody murder. It was a horrible scene.
Marianne and David Herring both work and needed flexible childcare for little Luke. They were running up against what many of us face: limited space at daycare facilities and the high cost. More than $10,000 each year. That's the staggering average price families pay for childcare.
Just on a weekly basis, averaging between $210 and $250 a week.
Family friends recommended a woman with a home daycare not far from their house.
Her exact words to us, "I'm completely legit." And because she was a family friend, because my neighbors knew her, I just didn't question any further.
On February 8th of 2022, the Herrings got the call no parent ever wants to receive. While the caregiver was making muffins, Luke burned his hands on the inside of an oven door. The Herrings believe there were more children in the daycare than the provider was able to care for.
She put aloe vera on his hand, and that was pretty much it.
Marianne and David drove Luke an hour away to an emergency burn center where he stayed for 18 days. He underwent 5 surgeries.
You can see the scars there, all through here, as well as all up his hand here.
The family would later find out their provider had no insurance and was not licensed with the state.
Would you use a home daycare again? No.
No, never.
In every state, the rules to inspect and regulate daycares are different. Some states require home daycares to be licensed, some do not. In many states, a license would mean oversight of things like inspections, set child-to-provider ratios, and insurance requirements.
We found incidents all across this country where children were injured inside at-home daycares, families filing lawsuits in Indiana, Illinois, North Carolina, and Missouri, to name a few. Finding a place for your child, it's already difficult. According to data from the U.S. Census, in April and May of last year, 19% of families couldn't send their child to daycare because of 3 things. It was either the cost, concerns over safety, or their daycare provider just wasn't available.
There are family child care homes out there that are not licensed that are doing a good job. And there are family child care homes out there that are licensed that aren't doing a great job. That's why we're here to help you navigate the system.
Mindy Bennett with Child Care Aware of America says you need to ask the right questions. How long have you been working with children? Are you CPR certified? What type of training do you have? Do you have insurance? And ask to see the documentation. Don't just take their word for it. She also says tour the facility or home and trust your gut. Pay for a background check. Look up a provider's license. Go online and read their ratings, reviews, and inspection reports.
The dinosaurs say.
Luke is doing much better now. The Herrings want other families to learn from their story.
It will forever haunt me that I didn't ask the right questions.
For Investigate TV, I'm Rachel DePompa.
So in Tennessee, the average cost for an infant and a family child care in 2021 was $7,518. And with inflation, I would expect that it's even more than that now. I know my sister pays a lot of money for her 2 kids to go to daycare. Well, did you know today is a day to celebrate the achievements of women and support action against gender inequality? You can mark the day by taking part in a march for women's equal rights or participate in a related fundraiser, festival, lecture, or seminar. You can also post the hashtag International Women's Day to share the message. You can keep celebrating the rest of the month because it is National Women's History Month. But I did a really interesting interview with these 2 women, entrepreneurs that were able to really make their mark on a tough industry. And so I caught up with them earlier this week for them to share more about their story and advice that they would give other women out there. International Women's Day is coming up on Wednesday, and so I thought it would be a great opportunity for us to bring in 2 power women that are doing great things, entrepreneurs, and doing some really cool stuff. And they actually met at Middle Tennessee State University. They shared a dorm together, so just next door to Memphis and Nashville, the Nashville area. And so joining me now, they've now actually started up a company called CrowdSurf. And so I want to dive into this and really talk about what they're doing and what advice they would have for women that are wanting to become entrepreneurs. There's so many people out there with great ideas. It's just, how do we do it? And so joining us now, this is Cassie Petrie, I believe. I was watching one of your earlier interviews, so that's why I recognize you. And Jay Driver, good morning, ladies. How are y'all doing?
We're doing good. Good morning to you, too. Thank you for having us.
You know, good morning. Good morning, Jade. I know it's going to be a little interesting since we're on Zoom and it'll flip back and forth from person to person, but I'm not sure who wants to tackle this one, but just kind of talking about your story. Y'all met over a love for the Backstreet Boys, which I love the Backstreet Boys too. I went to one of their recent concerts in the St. Louis area, so love them. But I guess let's talk about your story, how y'all kind of came together and really built something that is really, really cool. Who wants to take this one?
Jade can go first.
All right.
Yeah, so I met, it was 2005 actually at MTSU. The industry program there, and we realized, hey, we have this thing in common. We really love the Backstreet Boys. And so I think we both had this kind of pipe dream in our head that maybe one day in the music industry we could work for them. And so we just really worked together, put our head down, let our work really show for itself, and eventually they called. And now we've been working with them for about 10 years. Running the company CrowdSurf, doing digital marketing, artist management, artist branding, and content creation for 15 years. And it has, I don't know where the years have gone.
It just sounds like such a cool journey. And I mean, Nashville, it's hard. It's a tough industry. The music industry is tough. And I guess as 2 women kind of taking on this industry by storm and getting to where you are now, what advice would you have maybe for younger people out there that are now, you know, there's so many people that are going towards social media to be able to kind of build a brand and to really grow and to kind of be in charge of their own destiny, their own hours and that sort of thing. In a tough industry like the one that y'all took by storm, what advice would you have? I mean, what was it that you think really helped you along the way?
I would say something that's important, whether you want to be an artist in the music business behind the scenes or really kind of in any sort of creative industries, to figure out how you do something different than everyone else. Coming in and trying to start a business that somebody else already has and you're making like a little copy of it, that doesn't work. I think the reason our business worked is because there wasn't social media marketing companies at the time when we started. There wasn't a job called social media manager, community manager. We were different, but we saw a need for what we were doing. So I think you look within yourself, figure out what you have that's maybe a little bit different than everyone else, but is still exciting to you, and figure out how you offer that service to other people and help other people with that different skill that you have.
I was really looking forward to talking with you. I'm actually working to get my master's in digital media management, so I was like, this is going to be a great interview. I'm excited, and of course, we're digital. This is our digital desk, and so much is going towards that digital side of things. And like you said, it's like finding a niche, and sometimes I think that can be hard. Were there some sort of skills that you kind of have built, whether it's from just past experience early in life, that really helps set y'all up to be able to say, hey, this is going to be something different. It's going to set us apart. And then just having those skills to help make it happen and to be successful. Was there something that you learned growing up or, you know, in your younger years that really helped you along the way?
Jade, I'll let you take it.
You know, I think Cassie and I think we've learned that our talent is marketing. And I think we were kind of born with that drive to see great products and see how people interact with them and purchase them. And I think it was a really interesting time when we started CrowdSurf. Social media was not a household name yet. People were just trying to start, you know, using it. At the time, there was really, you know, there was Facebook, and then, you know, MySpace was around, and then you slowly got Twitter and YouTube and all these things. And really the key advantage that we had was that we were, you know, in our early 20s in college, and we were using these platforms. So just for, you know, for fun and as normal people, we were using these platforms, and we really saw the potential to use them as a marketing tool. So it was an interesting time where this was becoming something that everyday humans were using on an everyday basis. And really, there was no one in the music industry that was an expert at it yet. So the people that were experts at it were the young people really using the technology back then. So we saw this opportunity where, hey, we know this stuff inside and out. We use it for hours a day, talking to our friends, interacting with people. And I think there's a way to use it really as a marketing tool, since you kind of always in marketing have to go where the people are. That's why people buy billboards, because people are on the roads. They buy TV commercials because people are watching TV. Now people are on social media. How do we market something to them? So we really had an opportunity to show that that was a viable marketing source just by kind of being the age we were and being excited about social media.
And let me just say, I loved MySpace. I hate that we don't have it anymore. But I mean, in the music industry, I mean, that was a way that I discovered artists that I had not ever heard of before. And so I really miss that platform. But then you have other platforms now. By the way, I remember when Facebook, you had to have a university account to actually even have a profile on Facebook. So just the evolution in itself. But now there's Instagram and there's TikTok, and they're all playing a part in the growth of the music industry and people that are trying to be discovered and that sort of thing. How should people be using these to maybe help build their brand in that sort of way? There's so many artists here in Memphis too that are just getting started. Is there any advice that maybe either of you would like to give? Cassie, do you want to touch on this one?
Yeah, for sure. This is, I think, something that we're dealing with our clients on an ongoing basis, on a daily basis, is how do we tackle TikTok in particular, and obviously Instagram is still really important. And this kind of loops back around to what we were talking about earlier, where it's important to be different. Doing what everyone else is doing on TikTok is probably not going to be as successful as the person that you're mimicking, because they already had success with it. And by the time you're creating your video and have discovered it, it's probably dated and old at that point. So you just have to figure out how you're different and what feels authentic to you. In video, you can't hide that what you're making is not you. So you have to really like what you're making and believe in it, and figure out, you know, kind of take a step back from TikTok and trends and that sort of thing, and really look at it for what it is. TikTok is a platform where you upload videos. That is all TikTok is. And so you think about, what videos am I going to put on TikTok that reflect my artistry or reflect my brand or whatever you're trying to promote on there. But it really has to feel like it's you, and like you're not copying somebody or doing it because you feel like you have to. You have to be like what you're making, and you have to be proud of what you're posting on social media.
And I mean, ever since the pandemic, I feel like so many people are tapping into that influencer type of job where they can do that as their full-time career. You know, International Women's Day is Wednesday. For those female entrepreneurs out there, what advice would you have when it comes to the social media marketing, kind of tapping in and helping to expand their brand and business? Because we've seen some where people have been able to do that here locally.
I can take this one. I just think that in general, if you're, a woman in music or any business trying to figure out how to take advantage of social media, and you haven't really had that experience before, go into the situation. You don't start CrossFit and going lifting 250 pounds. Just make a goal for you to always do better the last week or better the last month than you did before. So if you don't have a TikTok account, get started this month and post 1 or 2 TikToks. That's progress from the previous month. You don't have to go in and do quote unquote best practices and be posting like 5 videos a week. Go in and just do better than you did the week before, but get in the sandbox and play with everyone and play where the people are at. That's how you get started. And your first TikTok may not be great. It may not go. You have to start being kind of not good and practicing to become good. Practice with making this kind of content makes you better at it. So you just have to get in there and participate, and you have to try. And if you keep trying, it'll eventually work for you.
It's interesting because, even here in the news industry, people are getting their news from TikTok. And so we're also tapping in and trying to figure out where is the right way to kind of reach that audience. Jade, is there any last closing remarks you would want to make? Any last advice that you would want to send out to people that are watching us this morning?
My advice is always ask for what you want and let it be known what you want. I learned that very early on and just started asking. It's kind of the simple theory that if you don't ask, you're not going to get. If you do, you might. So ask for as many things as you want. Make sure you know your worth and let it be known what you are trying to accomplish.
I think that's good advice. I think a lot of times we can get in our own way. We've done stories where we've talked to doctors about things like imposter syndrome. And do you think sometimes that when you have that almost can help drive you more sometimes if you're, just throwing it out there. Is that something you dealt with personally, maybe struggling with imposter syndrome? So many women do, from what we've heard just by talking to doctors in the past.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Cassie.
Oh, I was just going to say, this is something that I talk to a lot of people about, and I think everyone's always had this feeling. We just never knew what term to call it. So imposter syndrome has become a term that a lot of people have been using the past couple years. And I think imposter syndrome, everything in moderation. But I think if you look at the positive side of it, I think it can be a good thing, because if you're having imposter syndrome about something, it shows that you care about the situation, you care about the job, you care about the role in it, and you want to perform and care about doing a good job. So whenever I'm sort of having that feeling, I kind of try to reposition it in my head and think about, oh, this just means this matters to me. It doesn't mean that I'm not supposed to be here. And that's really helped me a lot in situations where I'm feeling a little self-conscious and underqualified.
Some good advice there. Well, a live look right now from our High Five camera in Midtown Memphis. You just saw that sprinkle there. It is raining here in the Mid-South, and you're going to be seeing it throughout the day. Also tomorrow, we're expecting more rain in the area after we've already seen a significant amount of rain this month of March already. So let's go ahead and figure out, when's this first round going to move out of here? What can we expect tomorrow? What are the biggest concerns? How do I plan? Let's get to meteorologist Brittany Bryant.
Good morning. We're tracking this weather system that's pushing through eastern Arkansas and starting to bring some light rain into West Tennessee as well. So as we go through the morning, 9:30 here, going through noon, you'll notice that rain continues to push east. We have heavy rain by lunchtime today in Memphis, the rest of Shelby County going into Brownsville. Also in northwest Mississippi, starting to see some rain too. So we'll have these on and off light showers probably through around 5 o'clock. After that, we'll start to see some breaks in the rain, especially along and west of the river. A few showers over towards Ashland and Corinth for the drive home at 5. And then we'll be mostly dry through around midnight tonight. After that rain starts to move in. You'll get another round of showers and thunderstorms tomorrow. There's only a 1 out of 5 for that severe weather threat, which means severe weather is unlikely. But there could be a quick gust of wind, maybe some small hail with the system as it moves through on Thursday. Let's talk about that Thursday timing. Here's 8 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. Some heavy rain in Tunica, Hernando, eastern Arkansas, might even see a few downpours in West Tennessee, including in Memphis. We'll have rounds of rain, so you'll probably get a break for a few hours in the afternoon, but then more thunderstorms arrive right around 5 o'clock on Thursday. And around that time, we'll have some instability in place, so that's when we could see those gusts of wind or that small hail. Notice those reds and oranges indicating some heavy rain along 55 from Osceola going into Blytheville. Also some downpours in Fayette County and Hardeman County, and that rains on and off through at least 10 o'clock at night on Thursday. Thankfully, weather models starting to push that rain out of here a little bit earlier. So this is 5 a.m. Friday. You'll notice no rain showing up on First Alert Featurecast, although I'm not completely ruling out a little bit of drizzle early in the morning. We honestly do not need any more rain at this point. We've already had almost 3.5 inches of rain for the month of March. It's only March 8th. That puts us 2 inches above normal for the month. And we may add on another inch or two of rain too with this system moving through today and tomorrow. About 1.5 inches of rain in the Memphis area through late Thursday night to early Friday, close to 1 inch in Wynne, and about 1.5 inches also over towards Holly Springs. Some spots may get slightly higher totals if you get a downpour that sets up over your area. And temperatures today not very high because of the clouds and rain and a north breeze. We're at 51 at noon. 54 at 3 o'clock and down to the lower 50s at 7. And the northeast breeze today could be up to around 25 miles per hour this morning and close to 15 to 20 miles per hour through 2 o'clock. After that, winds won't really be an issue anymore. Your First Alert weekend forecast includes temperatures near 60 degrees on Saturday and Sunday. Now, Saturday looks okay. We'll have some sunshine early, temperatures in the upper 50s, but then late Saturday night into early Sunday, we'll probably have some rain that starts to move into the mid-south, and Sunday does look soggy for us. So again, 54 today, 60s Thursday, Friday, we're near 60 degrees over the weekend. But once that Sunday cold front moves through here, temperatures drop down to the 50s on Monday with lows in the 30s that night, then temperatures in the lower 50s Tuesday.
But I want to switch gears now and talk about something really, really cool. Regional One Health Center for Innovation is working with its newest innovator, and joining me now to talk more about it, we have Alejandra Alvarez, the director over at the center there. Alejandra, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, and of course we're glad to have you back here on the digital desk. And I guess for starters, for people who aren't familiar with the Regional One Health Center for Innovation, talk a little bit about what goes on there.
Definitely. So there's a lot of things that we do from a programmatic standpoint that engage employees and everybody that works within the hospital. But we also have a very cool and unique program that works with entrepreneurs. It's called the Healthcare Startup Access Incubator. And so it's a program designed to bring startups, innovators into the system and give them access so that they can validate whether their product or service has clinical or business validation. And that is extremely important for somebody that's a startup because it essentially de-risks their product and service so that when they do enter the marketplace, they have a higher chance of success and maintaining that success.
And so you have a new innovator that you're working with that is really putting together a unique product that's going to help a lot of lives. So let's talk about it. Dive in. Tell me a little bit more about who y'all are going to be working with.
That is correct. So they are Augment Health, and essentially they've developed a technology that aims at improving overall patient quality and of health. So what it is it's a smart bladder monitor that will track when your bladder is full and also other bladder health parameters. It's pretty unique in that it will alert you when your bladder is full. So this is essentially has the possibility to remove the need of having to carry a urine bag around. And so that can be uncomfortable, that can be inconvenient, that can be very embarrassing for a patient. So by replacing that with this technology, it will improve their quality of life.
I was fixing to say, let's talk more about the types of patients that would possibly use this device and benefit from it.
Certainly. So these patients are patients that have neurogenic bladder, which is a condition that impacts their bladder sensation and control as a result of either brain or spinal cord or nerve problems that they may have. And so essentially they lack the ability to know when their bladder is full or have that natural organic ability that you and I would have to know when to use the restroom and things of that nature. They have lost that. So that's why this is so important for them.
It's really cool, and it's so cool that y'all are kind of taking this on and helping them to develop this even more. I know you're working with them a little bit differently than some of the others that you have in the past. Can you explain?
Yeah, so a majority of our participants have been in what we call prototype ready. And so for Augment Health, they're in sort of the state before that. They're in prototype in development, which is exciting for us because we wanted our incubator to be able to support all areas of development, not just those that are ready to be commercialized. So it has essentially validated in that our incubator, our access, is super important for anyone who's in any of those development stages as they're developing their startup, as they're growing and making an impact. So that's why it's super unique for us, and we're excited to have them on board.
So what kind of information are you going to be helping to provide Augment Health with this?
So as you can imagine, some of these innovators are essentially addressing a very key problem, and sometimes they don't come from healthcare. They don't have a healthcare background. So having access gives them the opportunity to understand how healthcare makes decisions. And so it's as simple as understanding the procurement process, the materials management process, the billing process, and obviously very particular to their use case. And so how does that work? And all of that information influences their commercialization strategy. It influences their prototype design. So we will be working with them by providing them both business and clinical validation. So what that means is we will be able to exchange, or they'll be able to see and get feedback from both the business side of the organization as well as the clinical side of the organization.
So will this product be used with any patients?
So their product is in prototype in progress, so it's not ready for patients to use it. However, they will be working, like I said, with business and clinical teams. And so what that means is that they'll be getting feedback directly from clinical teams that have direct access to patients with this type of conditions. And so that feedback will be basically from providers, nurses, or any clinical staff that works directly with those patients, which is still valuable. Even if the patient can't use it at this time or is not able to use it, they'll still be able to provide that feedback, which will still influence their prototype design as they move forward with the patient perspective and need in mind.
It's so cool, the work that y'all do over there. And I remember having you on the digital desk before, just talking about what the Center for Innovation was. And so I appreciate you coming on. If people want to go and find out more about what Regional One Health Center for Innovation does, where can they go to find that information?
Definitely, and we thank you guys for giving us an opportunity to share this exciting news. People can go to innovation.regional1health.org. We have a whole website dedicated to the work that we do. They can contact us through there, and there's also a series of previous projects and things that we like to share with our audiences that they can learn more about.
Super cool, and I love to hear about this new innovator, Alejandra Alvarez, director over at Regional One Health Center for Innovation. I appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk about some of the great work y'all are doing over there.
Thank you.
Today, people living with HIV can expect to live as long as the general population thanks to the discovery and development of effective treatments. Right now on the digital desk, we are joined by Dr. Harmony Garges, Chief Medical Officer at ViiV Healthcare. Doctor, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you being here. How has living with HIV changed over the years to today?
Well, it's changed so much in the last 40 years. It's really been quite amazing. When you think about when HIV was first discovered 40 years ago, we didn't have any effective therapies. And unfortunately, many people died of HIV and AIDS while waiting for medicines to be developed. Then we did develop medicines to treat the virus, but the older regimens were complicated. Multiple pills, multiple times a day, difficult to tolerate, and it was really challenging for people to adhere to those regimens. Fast forward to today, and thankfully now we have simplified regimens that are much better tolerated. So we've really made huge advances in HIV treatment to the point that people now should be living long and fulfilling lives with their HIV. The one area, though, that has not changed as much as we would like is in the area of stigma and discrimination. So despite the advances we've made in therapy, unfortunately, many people living with HIV still face stigma and discrimination, and this provides a real barrier to them getting the care that they need.
Let's talk about treatment and how it's progressed, and where do you think it's going next?
Sure. So HIV treatment has changed dramatically. In the early days, people would have to take whole cocktails of pills to treat their virus, sometimes 20 pills in one day. And again, they had really undesirable side effects. So as we optimize therapy, we've now moved to where most people can take one pill once a day. And now we even have long-acting regimens on the market where people can take injectable medications every 2 months to treat their HIV. So we've made huge progress, but our work is not finished, and we're continuing to look for new medicines to deliver to people living with HIV, and especially focused on that long-acting therapy area, trying to develop medicines that will go even longer between dosing intervals.
Dr. Garges, I know that there's this conference, the CROI conference, a medical meeting that really brings together scientists and doctors from around the world to share the latest advances in technology when it comes to HIV. What came out of the latest conference? Can you tell us?
Absolutely. CROI is an incredible conference, one of the premier HIV conferences we have every year. And at ViiV Healthcare, it's such a privilege to be part of that conference that really is focused on advances in both HIV treatment and HIV prevention. I'd like to share with you positive findings from one of our studies that we presented at CROI that really looked at people on a commonly prescribed oral daily pill known as Biktarvy versus going on to our long-acting regimen known as Cabenuva, which is again administered every 2 months. And there were 3 really important takeaways from this study that compared these 2 regimens. First, we demonstrated that the long-acting regimen was just as effective as having to take a daily oral pill with a similar safety profile other than injection site reactions occurring with the long-acting therapy. But interestingly, what we also showed was people who entered the trial on this oral daily medication, nearly half of them reported a psychological burden with having to take that pill every day, that daily reminder of their HIV. And then when they moved to the long-acting injectable, their treatment satisfaction improved, and 90% of them said they preferred the long-acting option. So to me, this just reinforces the need for different options, different therapies, and really having an individual conversation between physician and patient about their choices so that the patient and doctor can make the right choices for that individual.
Interesting stuff here, Doctor. Where can people go to learn more information?
So first, I would encourage anyone living with HIV to please have a conversation with your healthcare provider about these different treatment options so you can understand what's best for you. And to learn more about this long-acting regimen, please visit our website, cabenuva.lai.com, for more information.
Okay, Dr. Harmony Garges, we appreciate you. Thanks for the update and advances in HIV treatment and technology. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk. Let's discuss colorectal cancer for a moment because it is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. And in recent years, we've heard about the deaths of certain actors like Kirstie Alley and Chadwick Boseman, and it's put a new national spotlight on colorectal cancer. Believe it or not, it is the 3rd most common cancer diagnosed in the U.S. Let's bring in someone who knows a little bit about colorectal cancer and ways to prevent it and ways to get tested. Dr. Roberto Rodriguez-Rusca. He joins us now. He is a fellow of the American College of Surgeons and colorectal surgeon at the Texas Colon and Rectal Specialist Baylor. Good morning, doctor. How are you?
Good morning. Good. How about you?
I'm doing well, thank you. So let's talk a little bit about colorectal cancer and who is most at risk.
Everybody's at risk for developing colon cancer. Certainly, individuals that have family history of colon cancer are at more risk, and also patients that have inflammatory bowel disease.
What are the most common signs and symptoms of colorectal cancer? I know that it's one of those that you want to catch early because if you don't, it's much more dangerous and problematic.
Yes, what everybody needs to know is that most colon cancers are asymptomatic, and in other words, no symptoms at all. Unfortunately, once the symptoms occur, it may be too late. So it's important to develop the routine of screening individuals younger than 45. It's a new guideline that came out through the American Society of Colorectal Surgeons, the American Cancer Society. Many societies are supporting screening patients when they're asymptomatic. But the symptoms, the most common symptoms are changing bowel habits, blood in the stool, abdominal pain, weight loss, anemia.
So I know that the years and the ages of people who get screened for colorectal cancer, that has come down in recent years. Can you tell me why it's come down and the screening? Can you just go to any doctor, or does it have to be specifically certain kinds of doctors? What's the easiest way for someone that's watching right now to get screened?
So the age originally was 50 years, but because of the incidence of colon cancer has increased in younger individuals, societies have lowered the age of screening, which is 45. The way to get screened, there's many ways of screening. Stool tests that you can do at home, colonoscopies that can be also done for screening and imaging studies. There's many different ways. Through your primary care physician, they can order a stool test for screening. You certainly would need to see a physician to have a colonoscopy performed, which is the gold standard for screening colon cancer.
There are a lot of people that when they hear colonoscopy, they immediately they tense up and they're very intimidated by that whole process once it's explained to them. What advice would you give someone who's reluctant to get screened for colon cancer?
Don't hesitate, don't procrastinate, just get screened. If you reach the age of screening, just go ahead and follow through with any mode of testing. I know colonoscopy has the stigma of being uncomfortable, but it's really not that uncomfortable. Probably the most challenging part is just the preparation, where you need to get cleaned out before and stay on clear liquid diet to achieve cleansing of your colon in addition to a laxative. But is done under sedation for colonoscopies in most instances. And if you are still reluctant to proceed with that, at least take the advantage of stool test home kits that can be done, and your primary care physician can order that, or any physician can take care of that.
Doctor, is there anything else you want to mention? We have thousands of people that watch us each and every morning here. Anything else you want to say to them? I know it is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. What else would you like to say?
Well, I think the most important thing about colon cancer is that it's curable and it's preventable. And that's the most important thing. Prevention is the key to defeat this disease.
Okay, Dr. Roberto Rodriguez-Rusca, we really appreciate your time this morning. Thanks very much for your insight and your analysis on this Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. Appreciate it. You know, nutrition and nutrition studies are always evolving. It's really unsure these days what's healthy and what's not. It feels like it changes all the time and it's constantly evolving. 7 out of 10 people believe that changing nutrition info makes it hard to know exactly what to believe. Even when families are trying to make healthier meals, they're oftentimes very confused about what to eat. So let's bring in our next guest here on the Action News 5 Digital Desk, Dr. Sylvia Melendez-Klinger. She is someone that is knows all about nutrition and is with the American Heart Association's volunteer expert. Good morning, doctor. How are you?
Good morning. Very well. Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. So let's talk first off, when we're cooking something, we got this brand new recipe. We're super excited. We want to eat as healthy as possible. What is the cooking oil that we should use?
Yes, great question. You know, all these oils have a purpose in the cooking. And we need to know, first of all, that, you know, vegetable oil, canola oil, they're great for baking, roasting, frying at high temperatures, okay? So these are great for cooking and baking and roasting. The other oils, olive oil, avocado oil, sesame oil, they're delicate oils. So they're only to be used for marinating, dressings, and tiny little bit of maybe like sauteing a little bit. But they're delicate, so they can burn easily. Now, these are all vegetable oils, okay? So they're plant-based, they're unsaturated fat, so they're healthy for the heart. The oils that you need to be really careful, animal fats, they have a lot of saturated fats. Coconut oil, even though it's plant-based, it has saturated fats. So that needs to be used very, very sporadic, once in a blue moon only, okay? Those saturated fats have to be limited. And these other ones, they all have you want more flavor, you use olive oil, avocado oil. If you want to cook with the oil, bake, roast, grill, then use vegetable oil or canola oil. I mean, you can always use it for marinating too, but of course, if you want to add some flavor, these are the ones.
Interesting. Okay. So let me ask you this about the other ingredients that we can swap right now for something that perhaps is in our house, but how do we make it healthier? Let's talk about that.
Oh, I love to talk about that because people think when they're seasoning food, just salt. They always think of salt. But here, we have many ways to season. For example, fruits and vegetables are great to season food. You can add citrus juices. You can add, peppers, things that really add a lot of flavor and color as well, and nutrition. Then you can go to the spices. There's so many. One of my favorites, smoked paprika. Oh, it's such a delicious flavor to, if you want a meaty flavor without the meat, that's your spice to go to. But chili peppers, you have garlic powder, onion powder, even fresh herbs. They're great also to add a lot of flavor as well. But again, these combination of foods, when you flavor with herbs and more garlic, more onions, fresh herbs, you're adding flavor, you're adding color, and also you can even boost the nutritional value of that meal.
What are your tips for making healthy food affordable? We hear so many times, great, I'd love to eat healthier. I just can't afford to eat healthier. So what are some good suggestions?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that nutrition doesn't have to be expensive. Planning is the key because you need to see okay, what am I going to make this week? What ingredients I need to buy? So you're not double buying things. You can use foods that are in season. Right now the spring is coming. We have lots of cauliflower. We have greens. We have lots of fruits that are coming up. So then take advantage of that. Okay. And at the same time, use leftovers. Be very effective at using something that was left over to put it into another meal. I have here rice and beans. Using canned beans, canned products, frozen products could be inexpensive as well. In canned beans, if you rinse them, you can take 40% of the sodium. And it's a great way to cut time and at the same time, add fiber and protein and many other vitamins to a dish. And we always say, half a cup of beans every day, and, really will help you to live longer. So, you never know. These foods really will help you to stay healthy and to really, more than anything, take care of your heart.
This sounds all great, and it looks good, Sylvie. Anything else that people can go, our viewers can go for more information about all what we talked about and more?
Absolutely. This month of nutrition, where the American Heart Association is having a program called Together at the Table. And you can find recipes that are heart healthy. You can find also many resources in English and even Spanish. Going to heart.org/Nutrición y tu familia, which is nutrition and your family. So heart.org/Nutrición y tu familia. That website is great in English and Spanish to go find all these resources and more recipes that are heart healthy.
Okay, Dr. Sylvia Melendez-Klinger, we appreciate your time this morning and all the tips on a healthier meal and meal planning. Thanks very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Good morning. We're tracking this weather system that's pushing through eastern Arkansas and starting to bring some light rain into West Tennessee as well. So as we go through the morning, 9:30 here, going through noon, you'll notice that rain continues to push east. We have heavy rain by lunchtime today in Memphis, the rest of Shelby County going into Brownsville, also in northwest Mississippi starting to see some rain too. So we'll have these on and off light showers probably through around 5 o'clock. After that, we'll start to see some breaks in the rain, especially along and west of the river. A few showers over towards Ashland and Corinth for the drive home at 5, and then we'll be mostly dry through around midnight tonight. After that, that rain starts to move in. You'll get another round of showers and thunderstorms tomorrow. There's only a 1 out of 5 for that severe weather threat, which means severe weather is unlikely. But there could be a quick gust of wind, maybe some small hail with the system as it moves through on Thursday. Let's talk about that Thursday timing. Here's 8 o'clock in the morning on Thursday. Some heavy rain in Tunica, Hernando, eastern Arkansas, might even see a few downpours in West Tennessee, including in Memphis. We'll have rounds of rain, so you could probably get a break for a few hours in the afternoon, but then more thunderstorms arrive right around 5 o'clock on Thursday. And around that time, we'll have some instability in place, so that's when we could see those gusts of wind or that small hail. Notice those reds and oranges indicating some heavy rain along 55 from Osceola going into Blytheville. Also some downpours in Fayette County and Hardeman County. And that rains on and off through at least 10 o'clock at night on Thursday. Thankfully, weather models starting to push that rain out of here a little bit earlier. So this is 5 a.m. Friday. You'll notice no rain showing up on First Alert Featurecast, although I'm not completely ruling out a little bit of drizzle early in the morning. We honestly do not need any more rain at this point. We've already had almost 3.5 inches of rain for the month of March. It's only March 8th. That puts us 2 inches above normal for the month. And we may add on another inch or two of rain too with this system moving through today and tomorrow. About 1.5 inches of rain in the Memphis area through late Thursday night into early Friday, close to 1 inch in Wynn, and about 1.5 inches also over towards Holly Springs. Some spots may get slightly higher totals if you get a downpour that sets up over your area. And temperatures today not very high because of the clouds and rain and a north breeze. We're at 51 at noon. 54 at 3 o'clock and down to the lower 50s at 7. And the northeast breeze today could be up to around 25 miles per hour this morning and close to 15 to 20 miles per hour through 2 o'clock. After that, winds won't really be an issue anymore. Your First Alert weekend forecast includes temperatures near 60 degrees on Saturday and Sunday. Now, Saturday looks okay. We'll have some sunshine early, temperatures in the upper 50s, but then late Saturday night into early Sunday, we'll probably have some rain that starts to move into the Mid-South, and Sunday does look soggy for us. So again, 54 today, 60s Thursday, Friday, we're near 60 degrees over the weekend. But once that Sunday cold front moves through here, temperatures drop down to the 50s on Monday with lows in the 30s that night, then temperatures in the lower 50s Tuesday.
All right. Well, how about the spring, the summer months? I know I'm looking forward to them. It's starting to feel like that outside here in the Mid-South. But of course, with that comes allergy season, and no one likes that. The sniffles, the sneezing, the itchy eyes. Well, joining us now to talk more about how to deal with it, the best treatment options, is physician's assistant Victoria Vanacore. She is with St. Francis Medical Partners. Good morning. How's it going?
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to have you on. I'm glad that audio is working perfectly and we can get things going. So I guess let's go ahead and dive in and just talk about some of the causes that lead to these allergies that are just so
Yeah, so here in the Memphis area, we rank in the top 3 cities for seasonal allergies. The springtime especially can be very brutal here. It is not the flowers really to blame for the spring allergies as much as the tree pollens. Right now, a lot of the trees are in bloom. Pecan, walnut, cedar, birch willow, all of these are the most predominant allergies that we are seeing in the springtime here in this area.
And so let's go ahead and talk about the symptoms. You were mentioning it is awful here in the Mid-South when it comes to allergies. I have friends that moved from other parts of the country to Memphis, and they're just like, I never had allergies, and now I'm dealing with the mess of them. And now they're like, I understand why it's so annoying. So let's just talk about some of the symptoms that some people experience with this type of thing.
Absolutely. So allergy symptoms can range from a mere inconvenience to really debilitating symptoms. Most commonly, itchy eyes, watery eyes, runny nose, stuffy nose, nasal congestion. It varies, from person to person. But like I said, here in the Mid-South, if you're an allergy sufferer, this is a tough time of year for a lot of people. Some people get that ear fullness where your ears feel really clogged. And again, that's just all due to this pollen.
And I guess the big thing people want to know is if I'm dealing with this, if all of a sudden, I'm dealing with the itchy eyes, the kind of the cold-like symptoms, what are some of the best ways to maybe handle something like that? Is it something like Claritin, or what would you recommend for people to be able to kind of help ease those symptoms?
Absolutely. So over the counter, we have a lot of medications that are available for us to combat these allergies. I usually recommend to my patients starting on these antihistamines usually in February or so that we can build that antihistamine level up in our system, so we're ready when everything is in full bloom, which is usually by the beginning of March here. As you can see, these last few days have been pretty bad with the pollen. So Claritin, Zyrtec, Allegra, those are all over-the-counter options that are good. Of course, speaking with your medical provider to see what's best for you is certainly important. There are also nasal sprays available that contain steroids, such as Flonase or Nasonex, also available over the counter. So we do have a lot of options, and it's very important that we educate our patients on what those options are.
And I think a lot of people sometimes don't. Is there a difference when you talk about having a cold and allergies? Because a lot of times it seems like the symptoms are very similar. At what point would you maybe say, I need to go see a doctor? Or is there really much of a difference when you start to think about the symptoms and whatnot?
So there is. Typically, of course, the symptoms do overlap. Common cold is caused by a virus. Viruses tend to run their course 5 to 10 days in most healthy people. Viruses resolve. So the problem with allergy symptoms is if they are not managed, these symptoms persist for a very long time, throughout the entire season sometimes. So you're talking about months. The other thing is, viruses, colds tend to cause fever, whereas allergies do not. So that's a real big indicator. If you're not running a fever, but you're just constantly congested with those symptoms, then you really should consider that it is allergy.
Good advice, good information there. Anything else you want to mention as far as preventative type measures that people can take? Do dehumidifiers help? Is there other things outside of just the medications that can help?
Absolutely. So, some people are a little hesitant to take something every day. We have other options. You can simply use a nasal saline, which is just salt water to help flush your nasal cavities, flush those sinus cavities. Also changing the air filters in your home. In the wintertime, these mold spores just go inactive, and as the spring comes, these reactivate. So changing those filters out, most filters will tell you every 90 days to change them. So every spring, definitely, get those filters changed. If you're working outside, if you're doing yard work, wearing an N95 mask is very helpful so that you are not inhaling all of these allergens.
Good tips there. And outside of just the spring and summer and the allergy season and whatnot, I know a week from now we're going to be springing forward, so we're going to lose an hour of sleep. And of course, they talk about how that can have impacts on your body and that sort of thing. Do you have any advice for people as we go to make that shift to maybe help ease that transition a little bit?
Yes, so daylight savings is always a tough time of year. Losing that hour of sleep is never easy, especially when you have young kids at home. You know, they don't quite understand the time change either. One thing I always recommend is starting early. Even now, about a week in advance, just going to bed about 15 minutes earlier each night so that you can prepare yourself for that time change so that you're still getting your solid sleep every night. You know, ideally 7 to 9 hours per night is the sleep that our bodies require. And when you lose that hour, if you don't prepare early, you could find yourself extremely tired that day of daylight savings.
And for me, I will say I do like I don't like losing the hour of sleep. I don't think anybody does. But I will say that I do enjoy having that additional sunlight in the evenings and whatnot. I mean, are there benefits to having that additional sunlight when it comes to that sort of thing?
There is. Our bodies need sunlight. We need to make sure we're getting adequate sunlight. That increases the serotonin levels in our brain and allows us to function well every day. So definitely getting up and getting that sunlight, you know, taking advantage. You know, the days are a little bit longer. We do have a little more sunlight as far as, you know, the sun setting later since that clock goes forward. So definitely make sure you're getting plenty of sunlight. You know, if we can be outside, getting that light, getting our exercise, staying in a routine too with our sleep. It's important to wind down in the evening times, have a good nighttime routine, whether that's reading a book or just laying in a nice, quiet, dark room. Getting those screens put away. A lot of people on their iPads or iPhones at night, that could be very detrimental to our sleeping habits. So daylight savings aside, we want to make sure we are putting those devices down at least 1 to 2 hours before heading into bed for the evening.
For sure, people don't realize how important sleep is when it comes to their overall health. Victoria Vanacore, physician's assistant with St. Francis Medical Partners, I appreciate your time this morning, and you have a good rest of the day, all right?
Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew Douglas in the Action News 5 digital desk. I want to tell you about Camp Say. It is a free 2-day performing arts camp for young people who stutter. It is a place where every young person is celebrated for who they are and given as much time as they need to express themselves fully. And these are some of the pictures from the camp in years past. I want to bring in Jennifer McGrath, Vice President of Education and Community Engagement at the Orpheum Theater Group, to talk more about Camp Say. Jennifer, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing very well, thanks. Happy to be here.
I'm glad you're with us. So tell us about Camp Say.
Well, like you said, Camp Say is a program that we've been running here in Memphis since 2018 at the Orpheum, and we work in partnership with an organization called SAY, the Stuttering Association for the Young, based out of New York City, and we host this, as you described, this 2-day free mini camp for young people who stutter, where they are given as much time as they need to speak and express themselves fully through all sorts of creative practices and mostly around community building. Essentially, what we're saying is that we think you speak beautifully exactly as you speak, and we want to hold time and space for you to come together with other young people who also stutter, and we want to hear what you have to say and how you learn to express yourself.
How long has it been going on, and what has been the response when you guys have after the camp?
Yeah, so, well, the organization SAY in New York City has been around since 2001, believe it or not. And we began this program, this satellite program here in Memphis in 2018. So I actually just checked that this spring will be our 9th session of Camp Say. And it's super exciting because, to answer your question, a lot of the young people that are coming to this program maybe have never met another young person who stutters. Maybe they feel like they are completely alone, like they're the only one, that they're hesitant or nervous to speak up, right? And to answer your question, in just 2 short days, they've suddenly built and developed this whole community of people that are just like them. They've made new friends, they've had a ton of fun, and they've been able to express themselves and share all the incredible gifts that are inside of all of them just by holding a little bit of extra time for them to speak. So I think what's really incredible is that in 48 hours, we see a tremendous journey, a tremendous boost in confidence, a tremendous networking that develops. And we also hold space for the parents and caregivers of the young people to come together and talk about what it means to be raising a young person who stutters and what the effects of that are on the young person, on the family. So really, really building a network of people and just seeing so many people make so much progress and grow so much in such a short time, while also having a lot of fun.
So it's at the Halloran Center there from March 18th and 19th. Tell us, is this a classroom setting? You know, we've seen some of the B-roll. It looks like some of the video there. It looks like they're doing all kinds of things, moving around. Take us through a day in the life of this camp.
Sure. Well, our camp is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, and breakfast and lunch are provided. And I share that only because we sort of ease the campers in, right? You have the beauty of having the camp have been here for so long is that now we have a lot of returning campers that come back year after year, session after session, that know exactly what to expect. And so they come in ready to go. But we also have a lot of new people coming into this space. And like I said, maybe they're a little bit nervous, a little bit timid. So we like to ease in with the meal, just kind of get everybody settled in this space. And then essentially we spend a lot of time getting to know one another, and also really living into the premise, the value that everyone gets as much time as they need to speak, whether that is 2 seconds, 2 minutes, or 2 hours. We are going to hold space for you. This is an environment that is completely free of any kind of ridicule or bullying. It's all positive, uplifting, affirming time and space. And so we really just spend a lot of time getting to know one another so that the young people can learn about other people who stutter, and also just helping them to feel comfortable speaking with their stutter. We play a lot of fun games, which is always a really great time. We have amazing food at lunch, and then we spend the afternoons primarily creating things. And we believe that the young people should get to create whatever they want. So they're writing poems, they're creating dances, some of them write songs, they do animation and drawing, they're creating skits and scenes, you name it, creative writing, drawing, you name it. They are developing creative means to express their thoughts and ideas. Then on the second day, we do a little bit more team building, a little bit more games and fun, and of course those delicious meals. And then we invite anyone who wishes to share some of the creative things that they've made for their friends and family. So any parents, caregivers, etc., that want to come and observe. Nobody is forced to share anything because, of course, we know that's a pretty big ask, right, to get up on stage and share something that you've created. But I'm also really proud to say that almost every single time we've got almost every young person up there sharing a little bit about what they made and letting their voice be heard. And that's exactly what we're trying to do, is make space for that.
So, and it's important to mention that this is a free camp for anyone. And I'm curious, do people come back every year? Do you see some of the same people? And how many people do we see? And what are the ages that we typically see at this camp?
Absolutely. So Camp Say serves young people who stutter ages 8 to 18. It is completely free. One of the things that we've been doing at the Orpheum for a long time now is really working to create more access to our quality programs. And so we don't want cost to be a barrier. If you are a young person who stutters and you want to participate in this camp, we want to make sure that it is accessible to you. So we're really proud of that and really thrilled to be able to offer it free to the families that need it. And in terms of people coming back, yes, we have young people that have been coming since the very first year. It's amazing to watch them grow, both physically from small people to now most of them are taller than me, to also just the way they grow in their journey of expressing themselves, of developing friendships. And I think, many of these young people, like I said, where they are going to school, and we have students coming from all over the tri-state area. We even have students coming from as far as Florida and St. Louis, because they really need this resource and this program. And so a lot of the kids that are returning get so excited to come to camp and see their friends and reconnect with their community, because maybe where they go to school, maybe they're the only person who stutters, or maybe their teacher is not giving them the time they need, right? Because the only difference between a person who stutters and anybody else is that it just takes them a little bit more time to say what they want to say. And so I think for returners coming back, you just see them walk in the door and go, oh, this is a moment where I can take my time and I can express myself and I can be seen. So yes, we absolutely have returners that have been coming since the beginning, which is always fun. And then of course we love meeting new people. So if you've never been before, but you stutter, we definitely want you to come and join us. You'll make so many friends, and I promise you it's a good time.
Okay, so let's talk about how people can sign up, what they need to do, and how many people do you typically have every year?
Sure. It ranges from year to year. I would say we're usually in the range of 20 to 30 young people per session. We do try to find that balance of making sure that anybody that wants to be a part of the program can be a part of it, but also making sure that there's a high camper to staff ratio, right? So that everyone can get the attention that they need and deserve while they're at camp, and really connect with other young people. So we're usually in the 20 to 30 people range, again, ages 8 to 18. And to register, registration is open now. So you can go online to the Orpheum website. That's orpheum-memphis.com. And you can click on the Learn and Engage tab, and it'll direct you right there to Camp Say across the USA Memphis. There's a register button. You just have to answer a couple of questions, fill out some information. And then, of course, someone from our team will follow up with you with all of the details. Registration, like I said, is open now and closes on March 10th, so that we have time to turn around and prepare for the camp, which is actually the following weekend. So if you or a young person you know, we also reach out a lot to teachers, educators, speech language pathologists, right? If you know someone who stutters that can benefit from this program, please send them our way. We'd really love to have them at Camp Say.
All right, Jennifer McGrath, the Vice President of Education Community Engagement for the Orpheum Theater Group. Appreciate all that you guys do, certainly, and this camp sounds absolutely fantastic, and appreciate you letting us know about it and getting the word out there for everybody. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much.
Okay, 2023 has already seen its share of heart disease impacts. Celebrities like Lisa Marie Presley, a mother of 4, Andrea Thompson, the mother of NBA star Tristan Thompson. I am joined now by Michelle Whitlock. She is a 2-time cervical cancer survivor and author, and someone who works in the healthcare industry. She's adopted several children, and I understand she's got quite the story to tell. How are you, Michelle? Good morning.
Good morning. I'm great.
I just told my producer, you look like Martina McBride. You look far too young to be a 2-time cervical cancer survivor. Tell me about your story.
Yeah, I was diagnosed at the young age of 26 and had a recurrence at 29. So chemo, radiation, major surgeries, and it left me unable to carry or create life inside my own body. So that's really where I started advocating for women's health and for women to know their family history, know what's available to them in terms of HPV vaccination, the PAP test, the HPV test, and really how to protect themselves. What I didn't realize is that this would also turn into heart health advocacy, and that I would find myself at the age of 45 suffering a major heart attack.
I was going to ask because so you had this, you're this 2-time cancer survivor, and then here you are, you work in the health industry, healthcare industry. Were you surprised that you were having this heart attack? And my understanding is that your artery was 95% blocked?
Yeah, it was a 95% block. I remember asking my cardiologist in the cath lab, "What's the Widowmaker?" And he said, "You just had the Widowmaker. It's the LAD." I was completely shocked. My father had 2 heart attacks in his 40s, But I really associated that to his unhealthy lifestyle. And I've tried really hard to live what I thought was a healthy lifestyle. I worked out regularly, lifted weights. What I didn't do was very much cardio. And the heart's a muscle, and it needs to be exercised as well.
Let's talk for a brief minute, Michelle, about the symptoms of heart attacks or the warning signs, I guess you could say, for this kind of thing for women.
Yeah, I'll tell you that the truth is, if I was listening to my body and my intuition, there were signs before the heart attack. But I'm a busy mom and I work. And so, like most women, it's very easy to put ourselves second, push down, and excuse away the random. Sometimes I would have like just a fast heartbeat or a stabbing kind of feeling in the center of my chest. It never lasted long. But it did pique my curiosity that I started Googling heart attack symptoms in women, because I did know my dad had a heart attack. So I saw the symptoms and I knew that they could be different for women, and it might not be chest pain, and that it could be things like profusely sweating or getting nauseous, vomiting, pain in your upper back, pain in your arm. So things that maybe wouldn't be associated with a heart attack. So I saw those warning signs. I just didn't act on them.
I got you. Michelle, your cardiologist, Dr. Michael McDonald, is on the line too. And I want to ask him, Dr. McDonald, I want to ask, when do people really need to see a doctor?
That's hard to say, because it has to be individualized. And as far as with the heart disease, you have to consider what are the risk factors, what are the symptoms. And it's not like we have guidelines like in GI, at a certain age you get a colonoscopy. As far as with the heart, of course, if you have classic symptoms, you need to see a doctor as soon as you can, because if you're like Michelle, starting to experience a heart attack, then the longer you wait, the more damage there can be to your heart muscle. As far as the preventive measures and stuff, looking at getting your cholesterol checked, your blood pressure checked, do you have diabetes, all the risk factor modifications, that can be taken up, with your doctor, the sooner the better.
Can you tell me a little bit about how Michelle was treated in the hospital, and is this something that's fairly common that you see as a cardiologist?
Well, it's not uncommon, but with females, the presentation of heart disease can be very deceptive, because females don't typically have at times, the classic symptoms that a male has. And it sometimes fools the healthcare provider, and it will sometimes fool the patient as well. The typical heart attack symptoms, crushing, heaviness on the chest, radiation of the pain down the left arm. We do see that in women, but we also see more nebulous symptoms, things like a nausea, vomiting, shortness of breath, everything from weird sleep disturbances. It just goes on and on. So you have to be a little more open-minded with the women. Michelle presented with, chest pain more classically, but my notes said the day before when she was biking, she had a fullness or a ball-like sensation in her stomach, and that's very unusual. And you would not say, okay, this is symptoms that precede a heart attack.
Interesting. Okay. And if you had to say something to our thousands of people that are watching right now about ways to prevent heart attacks, maybe like the top 3 ways or just maybe top 3 preventative steps that people could take, what would they be?
Well, it's a healthy lifestyle. One of the biggest risk factors for heart disease is genetics, and we can't change our parents, who they were. But what we can change is, as far as, are you following a healthy lifestyle? Are you getting regular cardio type exercise? Is your diet what it should be? You know, what's your blood pressure running? If you're smoking, quit smoking. And the risk factor modification just goes on and on. And then you have to be aware of being open-minded to your symptoms and not denying that, oh, this is just indigestion, you know, I'll put it off.
Dr. McDonald, thank you. I want to go back over to Michelle. You are certainly a survivor and someone that deserves a lot of accolades. Now that this stuff is behind you, Michelle, what can you tell some of our viewers right now, you know, from your experiences of ways to prevent heart attacks and heart issues?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things I do want to say is Dr. McDonald's absolutely right that I actually did vomit the night before, and the majority of my pain started in my left shoulder blade. So not typical until I was in the throes of it. So number one is, please listen to your body. If something feels off, it probably is. Take the time to consult with your doctor. The second thing is find time for cardio. That could be walking around your block, extra steps during the day. Exercising is really important. And then eating healthy, make healthy food choices. Switch out some of that red meat for fish. Add more dark leafy vegetables into your diet. Get good fats like olive oil and nuts. And talk to your children. I can't urge you enough to talk to your children. I remember being wheeled out by the ambulance and I thought I would never see my kids again. I literally had them stop so that I could look every one of them in the face and tell them that mama loves them. I was home alone with them when it happened. So now we're talking heart health with our kids that are 12, 11, and 9. We've got them set up with a profile on our elliptical so that if they don't go outside to play, their second option is they can get on the elliptical and exercise their heart. And they're asking us, have I had enough healthy food today?
That's fantastic. Michelle Whitlock and Dr. Michael McDonald, really appreciate your time for both of you to enlighten us on ways to prevent those types of things in our lives. Thanks very much for your time, and all the best for a great, healthy, and successful 2023.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's take a live look. This is our High Five camera in Midtown Memphis. Looks like we got some drizzle there. If I look closely through the camera, you can see the rain coming down. The roads look wet out there, and we're going to be seeing this rain coming through the area up until about 5 p.m. Things are going to lighten up, but we are going to have more rain. It's going to pick up later tonight, and it's going to be much cooler today in the 50s. So keep that in mind if you're going to be out and about today. It's going to be just kind of yucky. You might want to have that umbrella handy or that rain jacket as you get out and about today. But we're going to go ahead and wrap things up here at the Action News 5 digital desk. Stick around, though, because midday is headed your way at the top of the hour. I'm Amanda Hansen. We will see you back here tomorrow starting at 8 o'clock.